At some point in your life, you feel a subtle shift within yourself, a gentle voice asking, "What am I doing all this for?" Perhaps you've spent years pursuing goals, working hard, making sacrifices, and trying to fit into roles that seemed important to you. Perhaps you've done your best to meet everyone's expectations, your family, friends, colleagues, and even society. Despite all this, you still feel a gap between who you are and what others expect of you. If this gap remains unresolved, it can slowly rob you of your peace of mind and prevent you from feeling truly free. What if you could prevent this? What if you could finally feel comfortable in your own skin instead of constantly worrying about how others see you? Deep down, we all long for this freedom. Long. The kind of freedom that allows you to wake up every day feeling like your life is entirely yours, not shaped by the expectations of others, not lived by the opinions of others, but entirely your own. This journey to true freedom doesn't begin with material things or external success. No money, no fame, no recognition from others can fill the emptiness left behind by a life filled with other people's control. True freedom begins within. It's an inner shift, a shift in perspective that allows you to free yourself from the constant need for validation and recognition. It's about letting go of the invisible chains that have guided your decisions, thoughts, and actions for far too long. We live in a world where we are often told what to value, what to prioritize, and how to live. Social media, culture, family, and friends influence our decisions, sometimes even without us realizing it. It's so easy to do things just because they're expected, not because they feel right. Think about how many times you've done something or said yes to something just because you felt you had to. How many times have you accommodated someone else's wishes, even if they weren't your own? At first, these small compromises may seem harmless, but over time, they add up. You begin to realize that your life no longer feels like your own. You may find yourself stuck in jobs you don't enjoy, in relationships that aren't a good fit, and in routines that don't match the true you. It's as if you're wearing a mask every day, pretending to be someone you're not, just to fit the mold others have created for you. This book isn't about running away from responsibility or ignoring the people you care about. Rather, it's about learning to live in a way that stays true to yourself while also coping with the world around you. It's about understanding that while you can't control how others see you or what they expect of you, you do have control over your own actions and how you respond to pressure from those around you. For many, the idea of living for oneself may seem selfish or even wrong. After all, we've been taught to put others first, to seek their approval and make them happy. We've been conditioned to believe that living for others is the key to acceptance and belonging. But the truth is, when you live for others at the expense of your own happiness, you end up losing both. You lose touch with your own desires, your own peace, and ultimately, your own happiness. The approval you chase never truly fulfills you because it's based on something false. Imagine how different your life would be if you could free yourself from it. Not because someone told you to, but because you finally realized how empty you felt living for others. You no longer have to argue, fight, or explain your decisions. You just have to reclaim your right to live the way you feel, on your own terms. The freedom you seek won't be achieved by running away from the world. You'll achieve it by facing it with a clear awareness of who you are and what truly matters to you. This path isn't easy. Letting go of old habits and beliefs can be uncomfortable and even painful. There will be times when you'll fall back into old patterns, wanting to please others, seeking their approval or fearing their judgment. But every time you resist this pressure, you come closer to your true freedom. It's also important to remember that this freedom isn't about isolating yourself from others or becoming cold. It's not about shutting the world out. True freedom means living with integrity, where your thoughts, words, and actions align with your inner values, not with what others expect of you. It's about reaching a point where you no longer have to explain yourself to anyone. It's about walking through life with quiet confidence, knowing that your worth doesn't depend on how others see you, but on how true you stay to yourself. As you delve deeper into the ideas in this book, you'll realize that freedom isn't something you have to earn or get from others. It's already within you. True freedom is something you carry deep within you. The problem is that over time, it becomes overshadowed by fear, doubt, and the expectations of others. Each chapter of this book is designed to help you peel away these layers, piece by piece, so you can rediscover the sense of freedom you've always had. When you stop living for others, you find deeper peace. Your decisions become easier because they're based on what feels right for you, not what others want. Your relationships become stronger because they're based on respect and honesty, not fear or the feeling of having to do things out of obligation. Most importantly, you feel lighter, free from the burden of having to live up to standards that were never your own. It's not about being perfect or shutting yourself off from the world. It's about freeing yourself from the pressure of being someone you're not. It's about no longer having to justify yourself, seeking justice in a not always fair world, and continuing to gain recognition through good deeds. It's about feeling good about yourself, even if others don't always understand you. Through Stoic principles, you learn that true freedom doesn't lie in controlling everything around you, but in mastering how you react to it. It's about overcoming the need for external recognition and finding peace in the knowledge that you are good enough just as you are. Stoic wisdom teaches us that while we cannot control what happens around us, we do have full control over how we react to it, and in our reaction, we find our freedom. This book is intended to help you reclaim that freedom. It's a call to free yourself from the pressures that have held you back and to live a life where you don't have to live according to the expectations of others. It's about freeing yourself from the need to constantly explain or defend who you are and what you do. It's about letting go of the fear of misunderstanding and finding peace in living true to yourself. Remember that true freedom isn't something someone else can give you. You have to choose it for yourself every day. Once you do, you'll realize that the life you've dreamed of, the life that truly feels like yours, has always been within your grasp. All you need is the courage to stop living for others and start living for yourself. The journey begins now. Once you understand what it truly means to live freely, you are at the beginning of a transformation that will change your outlook on life. The first step to regaining your freedom is to stop having to justify yourself. At first, explaining yourself may seem harmless or even necessary, but constantly having to justify your actions to others creates an invisible chain that holds you back. Constantly defending your decisions drains your energy and makes it difficult to find peace. This habit not only costs time but also self-confidence. So how can you break free from this habit? When you no longer feel the need to explain your decisions to others, you begin to tap into your inner strength. It may be uncomfortable at first, because the urge to justify yourself is something you've acquired over time. We explain ourselves because we're afraid of judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding. Constantly seeking the approval of others, however, weakens your independence. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, understood this very well. He believed that the opinions of others were beyond our control and therefore irrelevant to how we lived. Acting according to one's own principles, without needing external validation, is the true path to freedom. When your actions are based on your own values, you don't have to explain them. They speak for themselves. Yet society, family, and friends often pressure you to justify your decisions, as if their approval should determine your path. In truth, it's not their understanding that counts. It's your own conviction. When you act in a way that feels right to you, your decision holds quiet power. It's not loud or boastful, but it doesn't have to be. Explanations can weaken this power and make you doubt yourself, even if you know you're doing the best thing for yourself. Living a life without the need for explanations doesn't mean ignoring others or their feelings. It simply means that you no longer allow their opinions to dictate your life. It's a shift from seeking approval to trusting that you've made the right decision for yourself. Others may question or criticize you, but their reactions are based on their own fears or misunderstandings, not on your worth. When you no longer feel the need to explain yourself, you trust your own sense of direction more. When you step away from the need to explain things, you can grow in unexpected ways. Suddenly, the fear of judgment no longer weighs on you. You move through life more freely and make decisions that truly suit you. You realize that it's not your responsibility to make your path understandable to everyone. What matters is that you stay true to it. This doesn't mean that you no longer care about others, but rather that you begin to prioritize your own path over the need for recognition. This freedom from having to justify yourself creates mental space. When you stop explaining things, you stop questioning them. You begin to confidently stand by your decisions, regardless of what others think. This confidence is magnetic. Others will notice your inner strength even if they don't fully understand your decisions. And those who truly respect you don't need explanations. They will support you because you stay true to yourself. As you practice this, you'll notice how often others around you feel trapped by the need to explain themselves. You'll recognize it in their nervous giggles or the long, detailed explanations they give for things they shouldn't. You'll notice that they seek approval or permission from others, even when it's unnecessary. When you no longer feel the need to explain, your conversations will feel easier. Instead of defending your decisions, you'll discuss them with calm, peaceful certainty. This strength doesn't come from pride or arrogance. It stems from the deep understanding that your life belongs to you, no one else's. Explaining yourself usually stems from insecurity. You hope that others will accept the reasons for your actions and give you permission to continue. But the truth is, waiting for permission is the fastest way to get stuck. You don't need their approval to live the life you want. What you need is the courage to stand by your decisions without having to explain them. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. At first, you may feel the urge to explain yourself, especially when you feel vulnerable or when people around you demand answers. But over time, you'll find it a relief to give up this habit. When you no longer feel the need to explain yourself, you feel lighter, as if the burden of others' expectations has been lifted. This not explaining is also a form of self-respect. It shows that you value your own path and are keeping it to yourself. Sharing every detail or explaining why you made a decision can sometimes give others too much control over your choices. By not doing this, you maintain control over your life. You aren't hiding anything, but you recognize that not everything needs to be explained. This habit helps you understand yourself better. Focusing on your own values will make it clearer to you what is important to you. This clarity gives you the strength to stop seeking others' approval. You realize that other people's opinions are temporary, but your inner peace is. Another benefit of not having to explain yourself: you save energy. Think of all the time and emotional energy you spend explaining your decisions. When you stop doing this, you create mental space for more important things. You begin to put your energy into your growth, creativity, and being the real you, instead of wasting it on unnecessary explanations. You'll also find that people begin to respect you more. When you no longer have to justify everything, you radiate confidence. People are naturally attracted to this kind of confidence, as long as it's not mixed with arrogance. Even if others disagree with your decisions, they respect your ability to make them without consent. This shift in mindset can improve your relationships. When you don't constantly need validation, you become a more grounded and secure version of yourself. This strengthens your relationships because you're not dependent on others' approval. Instead, you approach your relationships with respect for each person's individuality. Living a life without the need to explain yourself also breaks the endless cycle of ruminating. People who constantly have to justify their actions tend to overthink everything and wonder whether their decisions will be accepted or criticized. But when you let that go, decisions become faster and easier. Over time, it will feel natural, and you'll realize how much easier life is when you're not constantly overthinking everything. This change won't happen overnight. It's a gradual shift, but every small step brings its benefits. You'll become more comfortable with silence and let your actions speak for themselves. You'll understand that the people who truly matter to you will support you, not because you've explained everything to them, but because they trust that you know what's best for you. Letting go of the need to explain also teaches you patience. There will be times when others expect answers or explanations from you. In such moments, it can be tempting to feel the need to justify yourself. But standing firm, even when it's difficult, is a sign of strength. Over time, others will realize that your decisions don't require explanation and begin to respect your boundaries. The freedom you gain from this is priceless. You'll find that your life feels more peaceful and at peace with yourself. You'll begin to trust your instincts, knowing you don't need anyone's approval to move forward. This self-confidence forms the foundation of true freedom and is a gift that only you can give yourself. When you no longer have to justify yourself, it also strengthens your resilience. You are less influenced by the judgments and opinions of others because you no longer depend on their approval. You stand firmly by your decisions, knowing they are based on self-confidence and integrity. This freedom does not mean that you exclude others or stop speaking to them. It simply means that your communication is based on trust, not insecurity. You share when necessary, but no longer have to defend every action. As you continue this practice, you'll find yourself focusing more on what truly matters to you. Without the distraction of constant justifications, you'll have more time and energy to pursue your passions, create the life you want, and live in alignment with your values. You'll realize that the freedom you've been seeking has always been within you, just waiting to be unleashed. This shift will also help you set clearer boundaries. You'll recognize when others are trying to pull you into their expectations or opinions. Instead of being swayed, you'll stand firm knowing that your life is yours to live. These boundaries aren't walls that exclude others, but rather signs of respect that remind you and others that your decisions don't require their approval. By no longer having to justify yourself, you feel more connected to your own wisdom. You trust yourself more because you know you have the strength and clarity to make decisions without having to justify them to others. This is the true meaning of freedom, living a life that honors your authentic self without constantly seeking validation. As you continue this journey, you'll discover that every step toward freedom brings you closer to a life of peace, meaning, and self-respect. You'll realize that living for yourself without having to explain your choices is the greatest form of freedom. In this freedom, you'll find a profound sense of fulfillment, a feeling that neither the opinions nor the judgment of others can take away. By letting go of the need to explain yourself, you've unleashed a powerful sense of inner freedom. Now the journey continues as you face another important truth. The world isn't always fair. Expecting fairness in every area of life will only leave you drained and disappointed. Believing that you're always entitled to justice keeps you trapped in a vicious cycle of frustration, always waiting for the world or others to make things right. The more you strive for justice, the more bitter and powerless you become. True freedom comes from accepting that the world is flawed, unpredictable, and often unjust. It's about learning to meet life's challenges with strength, wisdom, and grace. The natural instinct to seek justice is deeply ingrained within us. From a young age, we are taught that wrongdoers should be punished and that justice should always prevail. But as we grow older, we realize that life doesn't always work that way. Many people lie, cheat, and manipulate to get ahead, while honest, hard-working people seem to suffer. If you focus too much on correcting these mistakes, you'll be drawn into a storm of disappointment. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus understood this well. He taught that external events, including injustices, are beyond our control. To find true peace, you must focus on your own values, not on the unjust world around you. When you stop seeking justice from others, you realize that the only justice that truly matters is the one you carry within yourself. This shift in perspective allows you to move through life calmly and no longer waste your energy trying to understand the injustice around you. Accepting that life isn't always fair frees you from the emotional turmoil of feeling wronged. You no longer expect others to right the wrongs and no longer demand that the world give you what you believe you deserve. This doesn't mean passively accepting injustice. It simply means not allowing it to disturb your peace of mind. One of the most important lessons of Stoicism is learning what you can and cannot control. True justice, in its purest form, is often beyond our control. We cannot control how others act, how they treat us, or how the world rewards or punishes people. What we can control is our response to these injustices. Instead of letting your anger overwhelm you when someone wrongs you, You can simply put it behind you and understand that the other person's actions affect them, not you. By focusing on maintaining your integrity no matter what happens around you, you rise above the injustice of the world. When you stop expecting justice from others, you also stop wasting time seeking revenge. The desire for revenge often stems from the desire to right a wrong, but revenge doesn't bring the closure or peace you hope for. It only keeps you connected to the wrong that hurt you. By letting go of the need for revenge, you regain your energy and focus. You begin to realize that true strength lies in moving forward, not in taking revenge. This mindset not only protects your peace of mind, but also ensures that your actions are guided by reason and virtue, not anger or resentment. Letting go of the need to demand justice from the world also teaches you resilience. The Stoics believed that life is full of challenges, many of them unjust, but instead of being burdened by these challenges, they saw them as opportunities for growth. When you experience injustice, you can view it as a test of character. Your response to it shapes you. Will you let it embitter you, or use it to build your strength and deepen your understanding of life? The choice is always yours. The world doesn't owe you justice, and this truth can be difficult to accept. But once you accept it, you'll notice a change in how you deal with difficulties. You no longer try to right every wrong, but instead focus on what matters, your own actions and development. Therein lies your true strength. You stop wasting your energy on things you can't control and instead focus inward. This way you develop the strength and resilience to face all challenges without being shaken by their injustice. This inner change doesn't mean that you ignore injustice or no longer care about the suffering of others. It simply means that you view these situations with a clear mind and an open heart, free from the need for immediate justice. When you recognize that some things are simply beyond your control, you can let go of the frustration that comes with trying to fix the unfixable. This freedom allows you to become more patient, compassionate, and focused on your response to injustice. When you stop expecting justice from others, you can focus on living according to your own values. When you live according to your principles, you don't need others to validate your actions or decisions. Your inner sense of right and wrong becomes your true guide, and this inner compass keeps you grounded, no matter what others do. This self-reliance is at the heart of Stoic philosophy and essential for living a free life, even in an unjust world. When you better accept life's unfairness, things that used to frustrate you lose their power. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and instead of anger, you feel calm. You understand that people often act out of selfishness, but their behavior doesn't have to influence your emotions. You are free to choose how you feel and how you act, regardless of the situation. When you stop expecting justice from others, you begin to see their actions differently. You understand that they often act out of their own fears, desires, and insecurities, and that their actions have more to do with themselves than with you. This helps you stop taking things personally and frees you from the need to correct others or point out their mistakes. This understanding is liberating. It helps you handle difficult situations with more grace and patience. Instead of reacting to every injustice, you approach life with a sense of acceptance. Accepting life's injustice doesn't mean doing nothing. It means you no longer feel like everything has to be fair. You accept that fairness isn't always possible, and that's okay. What really matters is how you behave in the face of injustice. When you adopt this mindset, you become less attached to outcomes and no longer rely on fairness to determine your peace of mind. Instead of focusing on outcomes, you find peace in knowing that you have acted in accordance with your values, no matter what happens. This shift in mindset helps you remain calm, even when the world around you seems chaotic or unfair. The Stoics often spoke about the importance of focusing on what you can control. When you stop seeking justice in a world that isn't always fair, you realize how much time and energy you've wasted on things you can't change. Letting go of that desire allows you to live a life focused on your own actions and values, not on things beyond your control. Living this way doesn't mean accepting bad behavior or ignoring injustice. It means no longer allowing injustice to control your emotions or self-esteem. You begin to understand that true justice isn't about changing others, but about staying true to your own principles, no matter what's happening around you. This inner strength helps you stay calm, even when things are unfair. When you let go of the need for justice in the world, you also become more adaptable. Life is full of surprises, and not everything always goes according to plan. But when you stop expecting fairness, you become more flexible and better able to overcome challenges. You don't let yourself be thrown off course when things don't go the way you planned. Instead, you stand up and move forward calmly and purposefully. This adaptability is the key to strength. The more you accept that life isn't always fair, the stronger you become in difficult times. You stop fighting what's happening and start going with the flow. This doesn't mean giving up on or accepting a life full of injustice. It means living clearly and with focus, knowing that your strength lies in your reactions, not in how the world treats you. By accepting the world's injustice, you also become more grateful. When you stop expecting fairness, you begin to appreciate the good moments that come your way. Instead of taking fairness for granted, you view it as something special, a gift to be treasured when it happens. This shift in thinking helps you appreciate the good in your life more, rather than focusing on the unfair. This mindset also teaches you patience. When you stop waiting for quick justice, you learn to be patient with life. You recognize that things don't always go according to your schedule, and that's okay. By letting go of the need for instant justice, you develop patience, which helps you face challenges more calmly and with more understanding. A life without the need for justice also helps you be more forgiving. When you no longer expect others to always do the right thing, you become more forgiving of their mistakes. You begin to understand that others have mistakes, just like you, and that holding on to anger or bitterness only harms you. By letting go of the need for others to do things right, you free yourself from anger and resentment. This forgiveness doesn't mean letting bad behavior go. It means you no longer allow it to control you. You choose to let go of the need for justice and instead focus on your own peace. This forgiveness isn't about doing something for others. It's about freeing yourself. It allows you to move forward without getting stuck in the past. As you continue to practice this mindset, you'll find yourself more focused on your own growth. When you stop expecting justice from others, you stop comparing yourself to them. You no longer measure your happiness or success by how others are treated or what they get. Instead, you focus on your own path, knowing that you only have to make yourself happy. This focus on personal growth helps you live more honestly. You stop trying to meet the expectations of others or the world's standards. Instead, you focus on being the best version of yourself and following your own values and beliefs. This is where true freedom comes from, living a life that reflects who you truly are, no matter how the world treats you. By accepting life's injustice, you also find more peace. You no longer feel the need to fight the world or demand justice. Instead, you feel calm knowing you are in control of your actions and reactions. This inner peace helps you move through life confidently, knowing you are not burdened by the injustice around you. As you continue down this path, you will discover that true freedom comes not from striving for justice in a not always fair world, but from living in harmony with your own values. You no longer wait for others to fix things or give you what you deserve. Instead, you find joy in living a life that's true to you, and in this truth you discover the freedom you've been searching for so long. When you constantly try to make others understand your thoughts or reasons, you're giving up a part of yourself. You begin to align your actions with how others see you instead of following your own values. The fear of being misunderstood keeps you trapped in a loop of constantly explaining, justifying, and changing yourself, just to escape the discomfort of others not understanding you. But the freedom you seek doesn't come from others finally understanding who you are. It comes from within, from the true acceptance that not everyone wants or needs to see your truth. The Stoics believed that self-reliance is the path to inner peace. When you are rooted in your own values and trust your own judgment, you no longer depend on others to validate or understand your decisions. The desire to be understood by others stems from a sense of insecurity. You want to be assured that you are doing the right thing and that your actions make sense to the people around you. But the only person who truly needs to understand your decisions is you. Others may misunderstand your intentions, but that's their problem, not yours. When you let go of the fear of misunderstanding, you can live more freely and truthfully. Without the burden of having to explain yourself, you can focus your energy on living according to your own principles. You'll be less aware of how others see your actions and more aware of how you carry yourself. This change helps you act more clearly and confidently, knowing that your decisions are guided by your values and not by the need for external recognition. This also strengthens your emotional strength. When you're no longer afraid of being misunderstood, you're less influenced by what others think or say. Instead of getting upset or defensive when someone misunderstands you, you remain calm, knowing that others' perceptions don't change your reality. You develop the ability to let others' misunderstandings bounce off you, unfazed by their vagueness. This emotional distance isn't about being cold or indifferent, but about maintaining peace in the face of others' misjudgments. By letting go of the fear of misunderstanding, you also create stronger boundaries. You no longer feel the need to constantly explain yourself so that others understand you. Instead, you respect your own space and let others form their opinions without being influenced by them. This boundary protects you from being overly influenced by the outside world. You no longer waste time and energy clearing up every misunderstanding or convincing others of your intentions. When you no longer depend on others to understand you, your communication becomes simpler and more focused. You speak honestly without worrying about making every word sound perfect for everyone. You share what you need to say, knowing that not everyone will fully understand, and that's okay. You trust that those who truly care about you will try to understand you, even when others don't. You no longer rely on their understanding to feel at peace with yourself. Living without the fear of being misunderstood also helps you feel more comfortable in your own skin. You no longer worry about how others perceive your actions or words, and instead focus on living the way that feels right to you. This self-confidence is very liberating because it eliminates the constant worry about what others think. You learn to value your own opinion more highly than others, knowing that your worth doesn't depend on how well others understand your intentions. This shift also helps you become more comfortable with silence. Often, the fear of being misunderstood leads you to want to fill every quiet moment with explanations or clarifications. But when you let go of this fear, it becomes easier to leave things unsaid. You no longer feel the need to constantly explain or justify yourself. You'll realize that silence can be powerful and that sometimes the deepest understanding comes from actions rather than words. As you become more comfortable with misunderstandings, you'll notice your relationships change. When you no longer expect others to fully understand you, you create space for true connections. You stop hoping that others can read your mind or understand every tiny detail of your opinion. This allows for more honest and open communication, where both parties can simply be themselves, without the pressure to understand each other perfectly. Letting go of the fear of misunderstanding helps you become more humble in many ways. You begin to realize that not everything you do or say needs to be understood by others. This humility helps you go through life with less selfishness, worrying less about how others see you, and focusing more on simply being yourself. It's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that your truth doesn't have to be understood by everyone to be important. This process also helps you accept that misunderstandings are a normal part of interpersonal interaction. No matter how clearly you explain yourself, there will always be times when your words or actions are misunderstood. By accepting this, you free yourself from the need to constantly correct others or explain everything. Instead, you focus on what matters, living a life that aligns with your values, regardless of how others see it. A life without the fear of being misunderstood also gives you the courage to take more risks. When you no longer worry about how others will interpret your actions, you're more open to trying new things, speaking more freely, and stepping outside your comfort zone. You no longer hold back for fear that people won't understand your reasons. This sense of freedom allows you to live more fully and authentically without being limited by the opinions of others. This new way of thinking also helps you become more resilient to criticism. When you no longer have to understand, the sting of criticism lessens. You understand that others' judgments are often based on their limited understanding of your intentions, and that's okay. You no longer take criticism personally because you know that not everyone sees the bigger picture. This helps you remain calm and collected, even when others misunderstand or reject you. By accepting the freedom to be misunderstood, you also become more open to seeing things from others' perspectives. You no longer expect them to fully understand you, which makes you more empathetic to their perspectives. You realize that you may not fully understand them, just as they may not fully understand you, and that's okay. This openness creates deeper connections where differences are valued rather than feared. It also helps you accept yourself more. When you stop worrying about whether others understand you, you trust yourself more. You no longer need others' approval of your decisions to feel secure. This self-confidence builds a strong foundation for living a life that reflects your values, not the expectations or misunderstandings of others. When you let go of the need to be understood, you can also focus more on your own growth. Instead of focusing on how others see you, focus your energy on becoming the best version of yourself. You no longer waste time trying to control how others perceive you, and instead focus on your own path of self-improvement. This shift in focus allows you to grow faster and more authentically, without being held back by the fear of others' interpretations of your progress. When you no longer have to understand, you can also better handle uncertainty. You no longer feel like everything needs to be explained or clarified. This acceptance of uncertainty helps you accept the complexity of life without constantly trying to explain it to others. You begin to trust the process and understand that not everything needs to be fully understood to make sense. This approach helps you stay more present. When you stop worrying about how others see you, you focus more on what's happening right now rather than on how your actions will be judged. Being this present allows you to experience life more intensely without getting lost in ruminations or explanations. By accepting the possibility of being misunderstood, you also become more creative. You no longer hold back your ideas or self-expression for fear that others won't understand them. This freedom allows you to explore new things, try out new ideas, and express yourself more honestly. You no longer feel the pressure to conform to the expectations or explanations of others, and this opens the door to greater creativity and self-development. This shift in thinking also helps you find deeper inner peace. When you no longer depend on others for understanding, you can relax knowing that you are living in harmony with your own values. You no longer feel the need to constantly explain or justify your actions, and this helps you live more calmly and contentedly. Living without the fear of being misunderstood also helps you build stronger relationships. When you're not dependent on others to fully understand your intentions, you create space for genuine connections. You allow others to be who they are, just as you allow yourself to be. This openness leads to deeper, more meaningful relationships in which both sides can be authentic without the pressure of perfect understanding. As you continue to let go of the fear of misunderstanding, you'll notice yourself understand more. You no longer rely on others for validation of your decisions and instead trust your own self-worth. You no longer depend on others for validation of your decisions and learn to trust your own judgment more. This independence allows you to move through life more confidently, knowing that your actions are in line with your values rather than being shaped by the opinions or misunderstandings of others. This shift in perspective also helps you deal with challenges more effectively. When you're no longer afraid of misunderstandings, you're less affected by what's happening around you or by the opinions of others. You develop an inner strength that helps you confidently handle difficult situations. This strength doesn't consist of ignoring the views of others, but of staying true to yourself, no matter how others see you. By letting go of the need to be understood, you focus more on your own purpose. You stop seeking the approval of others and begin living a life consistent with your values and goals. This sense of purpose helps you move through life with clearer direction, knowing that you are living for yourself, not for the approval or understanding of others. Ultimately, it's about letting go of the fear of misunderstanding and finding inner freedom. It's about trusting your own path, even if not everyone understands it, and that's perfectly fine. This freedom allows you to live more authentically, without the constant pressure to explain or justify your decisions. And in this authenticity, you will find the peace and fulfillment you have always sought. When you become comfortable with the idea that not everyone has to understand you, you begin to recognize another truth. Resistance doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes the strongest resistance arises in silence. Silent resistance is a great strength when you stand by your values without having to argue or explain yourself. This doesn't mean being passive or weak. Rather, it's a strategic decision to let your actions speak for themselves. By mastering the art of silent resistance, you'll find a new level of freedom in which you remain true to yourself without getting embroiled in unnecessary conflict. The world often pushes us to react. When something doesn't align with our beliefs or values, the natural reaction is to argue, defend ourselves, or fight back. But words, especially when driven by anger or frustration, can quickly lead to fruitless arguments. However, silence is a powerful tool. It allows you to resist without having to confront someone. It shows that you stand firmly in your convictions, but you don't have to fight with words to prove your point. Silent resistance isn't about silencing your voice or abandoning your beliefs. It's about choosing your battles carefully. There are times when it's necessary to speak your mind, but there are also times when silence speaks louder. When you choose not to argue in a situation that's leading nowhere, you take control of the moment. You refuse to descend into the emotional chaos that often accompanies disagreements. This is a form of silent rebellion that protects your peace without compromising your principles. The skill of silent resistance teaches you that not every disagreement requires a response. If someone challenges your beliefs or tries to provoke you, your silence can send a powerful message. It shows that their words don't bother you, that their opinion isn't important enough to prompt you to react. This doesn't mean you're indifferent or uninterested. It simply means that your peace is more important to you than winning an argument. Silent resistance also gives you the opportunity to think and reflect before you act. Instead of rushing to defend yourself or proving a point, you create space for deeper understanding. In this quiet moment, you can better understand what's happening and decide whether a reaction is even necessary. This patience and self-control often lead to more considered and effective action rather than reacting quickly and emotionally. By mastering silent resistance, you also build inner strength. It takes a lot of discipline to remain calm when you feel you need to speak up, especially when you're being criticized or provoked. But in this silence, you take back your power. You are no longer controlled by the need to react to what others say or do. Instead, you remain true to your convictions and know that your silence is not a weakness, but a conscious decision to maintain your peace. There is a certain dignity in silent resistance. It shows that you're confident in your values and don't feel the need to constantly defend them. You know who you are and what you stand for, and that knowledge is enough for you. This confidence helps you handle disagreements without feeling like you have to prove yourself or convince others of your point of view. Silent resistance can also be an effective way to challenge authority or power systems. When you choose not to participate in something you don't believe in without protesting loudly, you send a clear message of resistance. Your silence speaks for itself and is often harder to ignore than words. It allows others to experience the strength of your convictions without being distracted by arguments or debates. In a world where power is often linked to the volume of speech, silence may seem odd, but the Stoics knew that true strength comes from within, not from the volume of speech. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, emphasized the importance of actions over words. He believed that living according to one's own principles, without always opposing others with words, was the highest form of resistance. When one lives in accordance with one's values, one's actions become the loudest form of protest. Silent disagreement also helps you avoid getting drawn into other people's dramas. Often, arguments don't arise because people genuinely disagree, but rather because of their ego, their insecurities, or their need for validation. By choosing not to interfere, you protect yourself from unnecessary conflict. You focus on what matters instead of wasting energy on irrelevant arguments. This approach also helps you conserve your emotional and mental energy. Arguing or trying to prove your point can be exhausting, especially if the other person isn't willing to truly understand your side. By choosing silence, you free yourself from this burden and can devote your energy to more meaningful and productive things. The art of silent dissent requires strong self-confidence. You must trust that your values are strong enough to endure without constant defense. You must also trust that your silence will not be perceived as weakness, but as a sign of inner strength and confidence. This self-confidence helps you handle disagreements confidently without feeling like you have to prove anything to anyone. When you practice silent disagreement, you also improve your emotional control. You learn not only to react to situations that challenge your beliefs, but also to respond thoughtfully. This control helps you remain calm and collected, even when provoked. Instead of getting caught up in the emotional chaos of an argument, you stay grounded, because your silence alone sends a powerful message. Silent disagreement also encourages you to take a long-term view of conflicts. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to argue and want to win. But often, true success lies in staying calm and allowing time to reveal the truth. By not reacting immediately, you give yourself space to see the situation more clearly and make decisions that align with your long-term goals, not just your current emotions. This also helps you develop patience. There will be times when your silence is misunderstood or when others think you agree with them or don't care. With patience, you'll understand that your silence is a conscious choice, and its effects won't be immediately apparent. Over time, people will realize that your silence isn't due to passivity, but rather a strong, conscious act of resistance that speaks louder than words. As you master the art of silent resistance, you'll also learn the value of listening attentively. In silence, you can hear what others are saying without being distracted by your own response. This kind of listening helps you understand the reasons behind what others are doing or saying and respond more clearly. Silent disagreement also helps you remain flexible. By choosing not to get involved in every argument, you give yourself the freedom to decide which issues are worth fighting for. You no longer have to react to every challenge and can focus on what matters most. You free yourself from the need for constant approval or the approval of others, and instead focus on living according to your values. Ultimately, silent dissent isn't about avoiding conflict altogether, but about choosing when and how to respond. It's about recognizing that some battles aren't worth fighting, and that silence is sometimes the strongest resistance. When you master this skill, you gain a new freedom where you don't feel like you have to react to every challenge. You stay true to yourself, no matter what's happening around you. As you improve your silent resistance, you'll experience more inner peace. You won't feel the need to speak up in every disagreement. This frees you up to conserve your energy and focus on what matters most. But just as silence can be a powerful tool in conflict, it's also important to understand how praise can subtly influence your actions. Praise often feels like a reward, something that makes you feel good and appreciated. But the desire for praise can be just as limiting as the fear of criticism. Those who allow themselves to be guided by the approval of others lose the freedom to live according to their own values. Praise influences you, and if you're not careful, it can secretly influence your actions. At first, compliments feel good and make you feel valued, but over time, the need for praise can become an addiction. You may no longer change your behavior because you think it's right, but because it will bring you more recognition. This is precisely where the danger lies. When your decisions are driven by the desire for recognition, you lose your independence. You care more about what others think than about staying true to yourself. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, understood that both praise and criticism are external forces that do not truly affect the inner life of a person seeking true freedom. To live in harmony with one's principles, one must detach oneself from the attraction of praise. Even if it feels good in the moment, praise can slowly distance one from one's true self. When one depends on the approval of others to feel good, one gives them control over one's emotions and therefore over one's actions. This doesn't mean you should reject praise or ignore the appreciation of others, but you should see praise for what it is, an outside opinion. It's not a measure of your worth or the final judgment of your decisions. Viewing praise this way allows you to accept it without needing it. You can stay true to your values, regardless of whether others notice or admire your work. The need for praise can also lead to a kind of silent manipulation. When you crave recognition, you start doing things based on what others want to see from you rather than what feels right to you. This makes it easy for others to influence your actions without you even realizing it. The more you change to please others, the further you stray from your true path. To avoid this, it's important to let go of the need for validation and trust that your worth doesn't depend on others recognizing it. When you realize that praise is just another kind of outside opinion, you begin to understand how it can limit your freedom. When your self-esteem depends on how others see you, you make yourself vulnerable to their opinions. The fear of losing their praise can create a constant sense of anxiety, putting pressure on you to maintain a certain image or behave the way others expect. That's not real freedom, it's just another form of control. When you no longer need praise, you regain your freedom. You no longer feel pressured to work for others or meet their expectations. Instead, you focus on living a life that aligns with your own values. This brings peace because you no longer need recognition to feel good about yourself. Your actions are guided by your principles, not by the need for recognition. When you forego praise, you can also try new things, develop your full potential, and discover a world of possibilities, all without the fear of losing recognition. It's said that content should be considered when joining the channel. In addition to supporting the channel, you'll also receive exclusive content. Click the link in the description and become a member now. Back to content. The desire for praise often stems from insecurity. When you don't fully trust yourself or believe in your own worth, you seek validation from others to fill that void. But no amount of praise can truly compensate for a lack of self-confidence. To find true freedom, you must develop a sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on the opinions of others. This inner self-confidence allows you to live honestly without constantly needing the approval of those around you. When you no longer need praise, you're also less influenced by criticism. Just as praise is an external influence, so too is criticism or disapproval. By viewing both as mere opinions rather than facts, you protect your inner peace from being shattered by the opinions of others. Whether someone praises or criticizes you, your self-esteem remains strong because it's not based on others' approval. This distance from praise also helps you build deeper relationships. When you no longer seek validation from others, you can communicate with them more honestly. You no longer feel the need to perform or impress. This allows you to build stronger, more meaningful bonds based on mutual respect rather than the search for recognition. In a world where success is often measured by the amount of praise, it can feel strange to forego praise. Society pushes us to seek recognition, receive accolades, and define ourselves by the amount of recognition we receive. But true success isn't about how much praise you receive. It's about how closely you live by your own values. When you let go of the need for praise, you can live a life that truly matters to you, regardless of whether others notice or approve. This freedom allows you to pursue personal goals, not just those that earn you the most applause. When you stop chasing praise, you focus on what truly matters to you. This shift in focus brings a sense of fulfillment that external validation can never provide. You begin to enjoy the process itself, rather than just the recognition that might follow. Letting go of the need for praise also makes you more resilient. When your self-esteem isn't dependent on the approval of others, you're better able to handle life's ups and downs. You no longer rely on external validation to feel good. This means you're less affected by the emotional ups and downs that come with seeking praise. This resilience helps you stay grounded, even when things don't go as planned. When you let go of the need for praise, you also feel a deeper sense of purpose. Your actions no longer depend on being noticed or admired. Instead, they are guided by your own values and what feels right to you. This sense of purpose helps you focus better and live intentionally, knowing that your worth doesn't depend on the opinions of others. When you view praise as a form of control, you can reclaim your freedom. You no longer need the approval of others and begin to live according to your own values. This brings you peace, self-confidence, and fulfillment, things you can't achieve through external validation. By letting go of praise and blame, you protect your inner world from the influence of others and can live authentically and in true freedom. As you learn to let go of the control that praise can have over you, you'll notice another kind of external pressure that silently influences your actions, the roles society, family, or friends expect of you. These roles may seem harmless, but they can place expectations on you that don't reflect who you truly are. The need to fit into these roles can be overwhelming and lead to a focus on meeting the demands of others rather than being true to oneself. To find true freedom, one must break free from these roles and forge one's own path, reflecting one's own values. These roles can begin early, from being a good student or reliable sibling to being a responsible adult or selfless parent. While these roles aren't inherently bad, they often come with expectations that make one forget what one truly wants. When you start playing these roles simply because you're expected to, rather than because they're right for you, you lose touch with your true self. You become more what others expect of you than who you're meant to be. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, understood the importance of playing the role that's uniquely you, not one imposed on you from the outside. He taught that each of us has a role in life, but that role should come from within, not from society or the expectations of others. When you allow yourself to be influenced by the roles others expect of you, you lose your freedom. You live a life that isn't truly yours. Rejecting these roles doesn't mean ignoring your duties or the needs of others. It's about finding a way to fulfill your responsibilities while staying true to yourself. It's about asking yourself whether the roles you take on align with your own values or whether you're just performing them to fulfill the expectations of others. It's about being honest with yourself and having the courage to let go of roles that don't truly reflect who you are. When you stop living by the roles imposed by others, you give yourself the chance to grow in ways you might not have thought possible. You free yourself from the limitations imposed by others' expectations. Instead, you open yourself to the freedom to discover who you truly are and what you truly want from life. This can feel uncomfortable at first because you're giving up the security of others' approval, but it's precisely in this discomfort that real growth takes place. Playing roles that don't suit you can lead to silent frustration. You may find yourself constantly trying to fulfill expectations that feel wrong, leaving you with discomfort and dissatisfaction. The more you try to fit into these roles, the further you distance yourself from your true self. Over time, this separation can create a feeling of emptiness, as if you're living someone else's life. By rejecting these roles, you can reclaim your identity. You begin to make decisions based on what feels right for you, not on the expectations of others. This shift is liberating because it reduces the pressure to conform. You begin to live in harmony with your values and desires, rather than being pressured to fit into others' expectations. Letting go of these roles also helps you set stronger boundaries. When you no longer feel obligated to play every role others assign you, you can also say no when necessary. You stop getting too involved in things that drain you or distract you from what really matters. This gives you the freedom to focus on what matters instead of constantly being pulled in different directions. Giving up these roles also brings clarity. You begin to recognize which areas of your life truly fulfill you and which you've only taken on due to social pressure. This clarity helps you make more conscious decisions and lead yourself toward a life that reflects your true self. You'll become more aware of when you're acting out of a sense of duty and when you're acting because you truly want to live according to your values. This process of rejecting imposed roles also teaches you to trust yourself more. When you stop letting others decide your role, you begin to trust your own judgment. You realize that you can choose what's best for yourself without having to follow the paths set by society or family. This self-confidence gives you the strength to move forward confidently, knowing that you're living a life that's right for you. Detaching from these roles can also lead to deeper, more meaningful relationships. When you stop fulfilling roles simply because others expect you to, your relationships become more authentic. You stop pretending to be what others want you to be and instead show up as you truly are. This creates deeper connections where both you and the people in your life can be honest with each other. Rejecting these roles also helps you prevent burnout. Constantly trying to meet the expectations of others can easily overwhelm you. The pressure to live up to these roles can be detrimental to your mental and emotional well-being. But when you let go of these roles and live according to your own values, you free yourself from this pressure. You focus on what truly nourishes you, instead of trying to fulfill the endless demands of others. This doesn't mean you stop caring for the people in your life. On the contrary, by letting go of roles that don't align with your nature, you're better able to genuinely support others. You no longer act out of a sense of obligation, but instead give authentically, making your contributions more meaningful. When you let go of these imposed roles, you can also better handle uncertainty. The need to fit into a fixed role often stems from a desire for security or predictability, but when you let go of these roles, you open yourself up to the unknown. You open yourself to new possibilities, even if they don't fit a particular mold. This willingness to venture into the unknown gives you the chance to grow in a way that reflects your personality. By rejecting imposed roles, you also take responsibility for your life. You stop blaming others for the expectations they place on you and instead take responsibility for your lifestyle. This shift in mindset empowers you as you realize that you are in control of your own future. You no longer have to follow the path dictated by others. Instead, you can find your own path that truly reflects what you want and what you believe in. This process also teaches you to be kind and patient with yourself. Letting go of roles others have imposed on you can be difficult, especially if you've been playing them for a long time. It takes time to unleash habits and ways of thinking shaped by these roles. But with patience and self-love, you can stop worrying about meeting other people's expectations and start living a life that aligns with your own values. When you stop playing roles you didn't choose, you also feel freer. You're no longer bound by what others expect of you. Instead, you can discover new ways of living, new ways of expressing yourself that are true to your true self. This freedom allows you to live more fully and honestly, without the burden of fitting into a role that doesn't suit you. Rejecting these roles also helps you be more present in life. When you stop trying to fulfill other people's expectations, you can live fully in the here and now. You stop worrying about whether you're doing everything right and start enjoying the present. This feeling of being in the here and now brings peace because you're not constantly striving for external recognition. Ultimately, rejecting these imposed roles is about reclaiming your life. It's about breaking free from the pressures of society, family, and friends, and choosing a life that feels right for you. By letting go of these roles, you can discover who you truly are and what you want from life. This path may be difficult, but it is worth it, as it leads to a life full of truth, freedom, and fulfillment. As you step away from the roles others have imposed on you, a new and powerful insight begins to take shape. Standing alone is one of the most powerful forms of freedom one can experience. Turning away from roles that others try to impose on one naturally leads to times of solitude. In these quiet moments, one can encounter oneself without noise or outside approval. It is precisely here, in these moments alone, that one can develop one's greatest strength. The fear of being alone often stems from the idea that being alone means being lonely. But there's a big difference. Being alone can actually give you the chance to rediscover yourself and understand who you truly are when all distractions disappear. Being alone allows you to break free from the constant dependence on others to feel good. In a world where you constantly need to be around people and stay in contact, enjoying solitude feels like a resistance to this need for constant company. Solitude holds a quiet strength that comes from the realization that you are good enough just as you are, without needing the approval of others. When you feel comfortable with yourself, you stop seeking validation from others. True independence begins when you no longer depend on the opinions or presence of others to define who you are. The Stoics knew this well. They believed that wisdom and strength lie in solitude, because then you are free from external influences. When you're alone, you have time to think deeply, reflect on your thoughts, and better understand yourself and the world around you. Solitude helps you clarify your values, goals, and purpose. It's an opportunity to build the inner strength that helps you face life's challenges with calm and serenity. Solitude also frees you from the pressure of comparing yourself to others. When you're with other people, it's easy to compare your life to theirs, be it their success, their relationships, or their social life. Being alone eliminates these comparisons and gives you the space to focus on your own growth and happiness. You begin to realize that your worth doesn't depend on how you compare to others, but on how honest you are with yourself. This understanding brings true peace. Being alone also changes your relationship with time. When you feel comfortable being alone, you no longer feel like you have to fill every moment with things or spend it with someone to talk to. You no longer feel compelled to be busy just to avoid being alone. Instead, you begin to enjoy the peace, the quiet, and the opportunity to simply be. This shift helps you see time differently, not as something you have to fill, but as something you can enjoy. Being alone also teaches you to trust yourself emotionally. When you're alone, there's no one you can turn to for comfort or acceptance. This forces you to learn to self-soothe and find inner peace, rather than waiting for others to give it to you. Over time, this independence becomes a powerful source of strength. You begin to realize that you can handle life's challenges on your own and don't need help from others to deal with difficult emotions or situations. This emotional independence doesn't mean you isolate yourself from others or avoid contact. It simply means your relationships are more genuine and based on respect rather than need. When you're comfortable alone, you interact with others from a position of completeness, not from a need to need something from them. You no longer need others to fill an inner emptiness because you've learned to fill it yourself. This leads to stronger, healthier relationships where both partners can be themselves without worrying about unspoken needs or expectations. Being alone also makes you more creative and better at solving problems. Without the constant noise of others' opinions, you have space to discover new ideas and ways of thinking. Solitude allows your mind to wander freely, unburdened by the judgments of others. This freedom fosters creativity and gives you the opportunity to think deeply and develop unique ideas. When you're alone, you can focus on your thoughts without distraction, allowing you to gain insights you might not have found in a busy or noisy place. Being comfortable in solitude also means you're no longer afraid of being misunderstood. When you're comfortable being alone, you realize that not everyone understands your choices or your path, and that's perfectly okay. You no longer need the approval or understanding of others for your decisions because you trust your own self-image. This self-confidence allows you to live more freely, without the pressure of constantly having to explain yourself. Being alone helps you stay connected to what's truly important to you, rather than being influenced by the changing opinions or trends around you. This connection to your own values gives you a strong foundation for your life. You're no longer pulled in different directions by the desires and expectations of others. Instead, you remain firmly rooted in your truth, which gives you stability that external recognition can't provide. Another benefit of solitude is increased mindfulness. When you're alone, you can fully focus on the present moment. Without distractions, you become more aware of your surroundings, your thoughts, and your feelings. This awareness allows you to enjoy life more, notice the beauty in small moments, and be more grateful. In solitude, you learn to be completely with yourself, which makes you feel better overall. When you learn to accept being alone, you also make better decisions. When you feel comfortable in your own skin, you can carefully consider important decisions without being influenced by others. This time of reflection helps you make decisions that align with your values, rather than being guided by the opinions or expectations of others. The ability to make decisions with a clear mind is an important skill that gives you more confidence in your decisions. Solitude also frees you from the constant noise of the world. In a society where busyness and connection often trump peace and quiet, spending time alone can feel like an act of rebellion. Yet it's precisely in this quiet that you find freedom from the pressures and demands of modern life. You're not overwhelmed by social media, the news, or the opinions of others. Instead, you can reconnect with yourself, free from distractions. This freedom from noise also helps you become more self-aware. Being alone allows you to observe your thoughts and feelings undisturbed. This helps you better understand yourself, your triggers, your habits, your strengths, and your weaknesses. With this understanding, you can begin making changes in your life that reflect who you truly are, rather than being influenced by the opinions of others. Accepting solitude also strengthens you. When you feel comfortable being alone, you learn to face life's challenges with more strength and independence. You don't need others to help you in difficult times because you've learned to rely on yourself. This strength becomes an important part of you and helps you face difficulties confidently, knowing you can handle them on your own. In solitude, you also begin to focus on your own needs and well-being. Without the constant demands of others, you have the opportunity to focus on what truly matters to you. This focus helps you take better care of your body, mind, and emotions. Solitude gives you time and space to rest, reflect, and recover, leaving you better prepared for life's challenges. Ultimately, being alone is about finding inner peace. It's about understanding that you're good enough just the way you are, without the need to constantly interact with others or seek their approval. When you're comfortable alone, you experience a profound sense of freedom, free from societal pressures, the expectations of others, and the noise of the world. In this freedom, you feel a stronger connection to yourself, which helps you live more truthfully and with greater inner strength. Choosing solitude instead of constantly seeking validation from others isn't always easy, but it's one of the most liberating decisions you can make. When you're alone, you learn to listen to yourself, trust your own thoughts, and find peace in your own company. This is where true freedom comes from, being alone without loneliness and finding the strength and wisdom within yourself, free from the influence of others. When you feel comfortable with solitude and the power it brings, another level of freedom opens up. Freedom from the need to appear a certain way to others. The urge to control how others see you can inadvertently influence your actions and decisions. The perception of your status, appearance, or possessions can put pressure on you to meet expectations that aren't truly yours. True peace, however, comes when you stop worrying about how others judge your external life and focus on what matters, the quality of your inner world. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius emphasized this way of thinking and called for the rejection of judgments based on appearance, wealth, or status. These are all temporary and superficial ways of measuring yourself that can distract you from developing your inner character. When you care too much about how others see you from the outside, you surrender control of your self-esteem to things you can't control. By learning to stop caring about your appearance, you regain control. Your identity is shaped by your inner self, not by temporary external recognition. Constantly striving to appear in a good light leads to a tiring cycle in which you constantly examine your appearance and behavior. You become overly focused on your clothing, the way you speak, and how you present yourself to others. Not only does this make you anxious, but it also keeps you from focusing on the more important work, developing your inner life. When you stop trying to impress others or conform to societal standards of appearance, you begin to live more authentically. You stop conforming to other people's ideas and instead define yourself based on your values and beliefs. This detachment from external appearances also provides a sense of freedom. You no longer feel the need to fulfill expectations tied to money, beauty, or popularity. Instead, you gain self-confidence because you know that these external things don't define you. The pressure to always look a certain way or demonstrate material success disappears when you realize that true happiness comes from within. You stop chasing a socially acceptable image and start living a life that feels true to who you are. Embracing this mindset doesn't mean ignoring your appearance or completely forgetting how you present yourself. It's about shifting your focus. You stop worrying so much about how others see you and start focusing more on the strength of your inner self. When your actions are based on your inner values and not on the opinions of others, you feel a deeper sense of purpose. You're no longer driven by the need to be seen a certain way, but by the desire to live according to your beliefs. When you don't care about appearances, you also learn to value reality more than what is merely superficial. The world often places value on appearance, be it beauty, wealth, or social status. But these are just distractions that can distract you from what really matters. By learning to ignore outward appearances, you begin to look beyond the surface and focus on what matters, that which endures and has real meaning. You stop judging yourself and others by appearances and begin to value things like character, honesty, and inner strength. This mindset also helps you break free from the influence of trends and societal pressures. Society is constantly developing new ideas of beauty, success, and status. Those who measure their worth by these ever-changing standards will always feel inadequate. By remaining indifferent to outward appearance, they free themselves from the constant pressure to conform. You begin to live for yourself, not for the approval of others, or to meet society's ever-changing expectations. When you stop worrying about how others see you, you open the door to a new kind of freedom. You are no longer burdened by the opinions of others. Instead, you live confidently, knowing that your worth doesn't depend on your appearance or your possessions. This confidence helps you move through life more easily, uninfluenced by the superficial concerns that once held you back. When you're not concerned with appearance, you're also able to build deeper, more meaningful connections with others. When you stop caring about other people's appearance or possessions, you begin to see them as they truly are. This creates space for more genuine relationships based on respect and shared values, not superficial judgments. You begin to surround yourself with people who value you for your character, not your appearance. This shift in mindset also brings peace. When you stop worrying about how others perceive your appearance or social standing, you feel less stress and anxiety. You no longer try to control others' impressions of you. Instead, you focus on building inner peace and strength, knowing that true happiness will come from this. The freedom that comes with no longer worrying about your appearance allows you to live calmly and confidently. When you give up on appearances, you also avoid the trap of comparing yourself to others. When you're constantly focused on how you appear to others, it's easy to compare yourself to them, be it in terms of their appearance, their belongings, or their social life. This comparison makes you feel like you're not good enough, but when you practice not caring about your appearance, you stop comparing yourself. You no longer feel the need to measure yourself against others because you understand that your worth doesn't depend on your appearance or your possessions. This mindset also helps you become stronger and more resilient. When you stop worrying about how others see you, you're less influenced by praise and criticism. You no longer depend on the opinions of others to feel good about yourself. This inner strength allows you to face life's challenges with more confidence, knowing that your worth depends on who you are and not on the opinions of others. This mindset also aligns with the Stoic belief that what truly matters is how you live your life, not how others see you. The way you act, the choices you make, and your character are far more important than your appearance or the opinions of others. This shift in focus allows you to live more honestly, as you're no longer driven by the need to please others with your presentation. It also brings more authenticity into your life. When you stop worrying about appearances, you begin to show the world your true self, no longer hiding behind a mask or pretending to be someone you're not. Being authentic allows you to live a more fulfilling and free life because you're no longer trying to conform to society's expectations. Not caring about how you look or what others think also helps you accept yourself more. When you stop seeking the approval of others based on your appearance or your possessions, you begin to accept yourself as you are. You no longer feel the need to change your appearance to meet external expectations. Instead, you find peace in the knowledge that your worth isn't based on superficial things. This self-acceptance brings a sense of fulfillment that external praise can never provide. By no longer caring about your appearance, you also free yourself from the fear of being judged. You no longer worry about how others view your choices or lifestyle. Instead, you begin to live according to your own values, without fear of judgment. This freedom allows you to take more risks, be more authentic, and live a life that reflects who you truly are, free from the pressure of others' expectations. This shift in thinking also helps you find a stronger sense of purpose. When you stop caring about how others see you, you focus more on what matters: your character, your actions, and your impact on the world. You're no longer distracted by how others perceive you. Instead, you're driven by a deeper sense of purpose that aligns with your values and your desire for a meaningful life. Ultimately, finding true freedom is about not caring about your appearance. It's about letting go of the need to please others and accepting yourself as you are, free from the pressure of others' opinions. This freedom allows you to live more authentically, confidently, and peacefully, knowing that your worth comes from within, not from your appearance. When you learn to let go of the pressure to look a certain way, you understand what truly matters in life: your inner values, your strength of character, and inner peace. Sometimes the fear of losing a relationship is the most difficult thing to deal with. This fear can influence our actions and decisions. When we base our decisions on the fear of losing someone, be it a friend, a partner, or a family member, we give up part of our freedom. True freedom comes from letting go of this fear and recognizing that clinging too tightly to relationships can sometimes lead to losing oneself. The Stoics knew that relationships are not permanent. Seneca, for example, warned against becoming too attached to the people in one's life. He wasn't saying that relationships are unimportant, but rather that too much attachment can lead to fear and dependence. People come and go, relationships change, and sometimes dissolve. When you act out of fear of these changes, you forget the most important thing: your own principles. Instead of making decisions based on reason and integrity, you make decisions out of desperation to maintain a relationship, often sacrificing your own well-being in the process. When you let go of the fear of losing relationships, you experience a new kind of freedom. You no longer feel the need to please everyone or cling to relationships that no longer serve you. Instead, you begin to live authentically and make decisions based on your values, rather than trying to preserve every relationship in your life. This doesn't mean you no longer care about the people around you. It just means you no longer allow the fear of losing them to dictate your actions. This shift in mindset also helps you build stronger and more honest relationships. When you're not afraid of losing someone, you can be open and honest with them. You're no longer trying to become the person they expect you to be. Instead, you're showing up for yourself, allowing for a deeper connection that isn't blocked by fear or doubt. Relationships built on honesty and respect are much stronger than those held together by fear. When you let go of the fear of losing relationships, you can focus on the ones that matter most. You no longer cling to connections that don't align with you or your beliefs. Instead, you invest your energy in relationships that bring you genuine joy and support. This shift helps you give more to the people who truly matter to you and let go of others more easily. You don't feel like you have to maintain every relationship just to avoid losing it. This freedom allows you to build more meaningful bonds. When you let go of the fear of loss, you also build more trust in yourself and the flow of life. You begin to understand that relationships, like everything else, don't last forever. People come into your life and some leave. That's just the way life is. When you accept that, you stop worrying about how every relationship turns out. You trust that the right people will stay in your life and those who leave do so for a reason. This trust also makes you more flexible. When you're not afraid of losing relationships, you can approach them with an open mind. You stop forcing relationships into a certain pattern or making them last forever. Instead, you allow them to grow and change naturally, knowing that some may end and others may change. This flexibility helps you approach your relationships calmly, understanding that changes are normal and don't diminish the value of what you share. When you let go of the fear of loss, you also strengthen your independence. You no longer depend on others to feel valuable or secure. Instead, you find that security within yourself. This independence allows you to enter into relationships from a position of strength, not necessity. You stop expecting others to tell you you're good enough and begin to believe that you're enough on your own, regardless of whether relationships in your life last or not. This letting go also helps you develop a healthier way of distancing yourself. Detachment doesn't mean you no longer care about the people in your life. It means you no longer cling to them out of fear. You learn to love and appreciate others without depending on them for your happiness. This kind of detachment helps you enjoy your relationships more without constantly having to fear losing them. You can be fully there for the people who matter to you, knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on whether they stay in your life. Letting go of the fear of losing relationships brings a sense of inner peace and serenity. You no longer worry about whether someone will stay with you. Instead, you focus on what you can influence: your actions, your values, and your own happiness. This peace allows you to approach relationships with a clear, calm mind, free from the emotional storms that often accompany anxiety. It also gives you space to grow. When you're not afraid of losing relationships, you can change and grow without worrying about how it affects others around you. You no longer hold back for fear that your growth might scare others away. Instead, you accept that change is natural and trust that the people you want to stay in your life will grow with you, while those who don't will leave. By letting go of the fear of losing relationships, you also open yourself up to new ones. When you stop clinging to your existing relationships, you make room for new people in your life. You lose the fear of the unknown and begin to welcome the opportunities that change brings. This openness helps you build new relationships that align with your current values and the personality you're developing. When you let go of the fear of losing a relationship, you can also set better boundaries. When you're not afraid of losing someone, you can set boundaries that protect your well-being. You no longer compromise your values or overextend yourself just to maintain a relationship. Instead, you focus on your own needs and trust that the right people will respect those boundaries. This leads to relationships that are more equal and supportive for both parties. It also helps you handle arguments more easily. When you're not afraid of losing a relationship, you're less likely to avoid difficult conversations or ignore your own needs. You can have healthy arguments, knowing that they don't necessarily mean the end of the relationship. The willingness to face problems head-on strengthens and solidifies the relationship, as both partners feel listened to and respected. Letting go of this fear also allows you to enjoy your relationships more. When you're not constantly worrying about what might happen to the relationship, you can enjoy being with others in the moment. You stop holding back out of fear and begin to show yourself openly and honestly. This creates a deeper connection where you can be yourself without the walls that fear often erects. Letting go of the fear of losing relationships also helps you recognize your own worth. You realize that your worth doesn't depend on how many relationships you have or who stays in your life. Instead, you understand that your worth comes from within and doesn't depend on whether others are there. This self-esteem allows you to confidently pursue relationships, knowing that you're good enough, no matter who stays or leaves. It also helps you value your relationships without clinging to them too tightly. You learn to enjoy time with others without having to keep them forever. This helps you approach your relationships with gratitude rather than fear or doubt. You value your connections while also coming to terms with the possibility that they might change or end. By letting go of the fear of losing relationships, you also free yourself from feelings of regret. When you're not afraid of letting go, you stop clinging to relationships that don't serve you. This prevents anger or regret from accumulating, which often happens when you stay in relationships only out of fear. Instead, you move forward with clear intentions, knowing that you're making decisions that align with your values and are good for you. Letting go of the fear of losing relationships means trusting yourself and the flow of life. It's about recognizing that relationships, like everything else, don't last forever, and holding on too tightly only brings pain. By letting go of this fear, you can live more true to yourself. Build deeper connections with others and trust that the right people will stay in your life while others may move on. In this freedom, you'll find a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing you're living true to your true self. When you let go of the fear of losing relationships, a new kind of freedom emerges. It's the freedom to act without needing constant validation. This freedom goes beyond your relationships. It affects your life. A trap we often fall into is the desire for recognition for the good we do. It may feel natural to want praise for acts of kindness, generosity, or selflessness, but when one's actions are driven by the need for recognition, the true meaning is lost. True virtue comes from doing what is right, not from seeking recognition. The true reward of a good deed lies in the act itself, not in how others perceive it. The Stoic philosophers understood this well. They believed that virtue should be pursued for its own sake, not for the recognition it might bring. When one does good only to be praised, one's actions cease to be truly virtuous. They become a way to receive something in return, such as favor or admiration. This changes the integrity of your character. By focusing on doing the right thing, because it aligns with your values, you free yourself from the need for approval from others. When you act virtuously without expecting recognition, you begin to connect more deeply with your own purpose. You realize that the true value of your actions comes from within and doesn't depend on how others see them. This shift in perspective helps you build a stronger, more authentic sense of self. You're no longer dependent on others being pleased by your good actions. Instead, you find fulfillment in knowing you're living according to your values. When you stop seeking recognition for good deeds, you also free yourself from the disappointment that can arise when you're not recognized. It's easy to get upset when your efforts aren't recognized, especially when you've put your heart and soul into them. But when you let go of the need for praise, you find peace in knowing that the value of your actions doesn't depend on the reaction of others. But there's something important to understand. If you've been trying to step out of your comfort zone and learn more for a long time, but still haven't succeeded, there may be something you're unaware of. I know what it could be. Fear. Fear is like a snake that silently approaches and attacks you without you noticing. It makes you feel bad for days, months, and even years. Living like this is like being constantly sick. But I know a solution. Stoic philosophers and modern psychology have developed a method that can help you get rid of this fear. I myself have managed to cure myself of this fear. I created a video in which I explain how to get rid of this evil. It's in the first comment. Click on the link in the first comment and begin to heal yourself of this feeling of fear. Whether others notice your efforts or not, you know you're acting according to your values, and that's enough. When you let go of the need for recognition, you become more consistent in your actions. When you don't seek recognition, you don't decide when you're being virtuous, based on who's watching or how it's perceived. Instead, you always act with integrity, regardless of the situation. This consistency is a testament to true character, doing the right thing even when no one is there to praise or reward you. Letting go of the need for recognition also brings more freedom into your relationships. When you stop doing good things to gain praise or attention, your interactions with others become more authentic. You're not trying to curry favor or maintain a certain image. Instead, you give without expecting anything in return, which contributes to more honest connections. People begin to see you for your genuine kindness and generosity, not for the recognition you seek to earn. This mindset also helps you become more resilient. When you don't seek validation for your actions, you're less influenced by the opinions of others. Whether others praise or criticize you doesn't change the fact that you're living according to your values. This resilience helps you stay calm and focused, even when others don't respond the way you hoped. You begin to trust your own judgment, instead of relying on external feedback to validate your actions. By focusing on doing the right thing for its own sake, you also gain a deeper understanding of what truly matters. When you're not distracted by seeking recognition, you can reflect more carefully on your motivations and intentions. You realize that the true reward for living a virtuous life is the inner peace and contentment it gives you, not the praise or approval of others. This shift in focus helps you concentrate on what matters most. Living this way encourages you to be more selfless. When you do good deeds, not just for recognition, you help others rather than yourself. You give generously without expecting anything in return. This selflessness allows you to truly make a difference in the lives of others because your actions stem from a genuine desire to help, not a quest for validation. When you stop seeking recognition for good deeds, you also avoid the trap of becoming dependent on praise. It's easy to get caught in a vicious cycle where you only feel good when others praise you for your work. Relying on others' approval can be harmful because it puts your self-worth in their hands. By focusing on doing good for its own sake, you build a sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on whether others acknowledge your efforts. You understand that you are enough, whether people notice what you do or not. This independence from praise also helps you avoid feeling drained. If you're constantly trying to gain recognition through your good deeds, it's easy to overextend yourself just to get that praise. But when you act out of true virtue, you can set healthy boundaries. You give what you can without feeling like you have to prove something or get recognition. This balance helps you continue doing good without jeopardizing your own well-being. Letting go of the need for praise also leads to greater humility. When you don't seek recognition for your actions, you focus more on the impact of your actions than on how they make you look. This humility keeps you grounded in the true purpose of your actions, to make a positive difference, not to make yourself look good. You care less about how others see you and more about how you can help the world. This humility also brings inner peace. When you no longer need approval, you no longer worry about how others see you. You no longer feel pressured to constantly prove yourself. Instead, you find peace in the knowledge that you are living according to your values, and that is enough. This peace helps you move through life calmly and confidently, knowing you are doing the right thing, no matter how others react. When you let go of the need for recognition, you can also be more present in your actions. When you focus only on praise, you can easily be distracted by thoughts about how others might view you. However, when you act with true virtue, you can focus entirely on the moment and think about the action itself rather than the outcome. This presence allows you to engage more deeply with the world and make your actions more meaningful and impactful. By letting go of the need for recognition, you also free yourself from the constraints of others' expectations. If you're constantly seeking praise, you may find yourself doing things just to meet others' expectations, rather than acting in accordance with your own values. When you let go of the need for recognition, you can act more freely and be guided by your own values instead of trying to please others. This freedom allows you to live a more authentic life that reflects who you truly are. Authenticity also helps you make a greater impact. When you stop worrying about how others see your actions, you can focus on the impact of your actions. You stop worrying about whether people notice or praise you, and instead focus on doing the right thing. This shift in focus allows you to make a more meaningful difference because your actions stem from a genuine desire to help, not a need for recognition. Letting go of the need for recognition also helps you become more self-aware. When you're no longer distracted by the pursuit of praise, you have more space to reflect on why you do what you do. You begin to recognize where your actions stem from a sincere desire to do good and where they may be driven by a need for validation. This self-awareness helps you make better decisions so that your actions align with your values, not just your desire for recognition. When you let go of the need for praise for good deeds, you regain your independence. It's about acting according to your own principles and not allowing yourself to be influenced by the need for recognition. This independence helps you live more authentically, confidently, and serenely, knowing that the true reward for your actions lies in the act itself, not in the perception of others. When you let go of the search for approval and begin acting exclusively according to your values, another challenge can arise, one that is often barely noticeable but very powerful: manipulation. Many people go through life without realizing how others can secretly influence their thoughts, actions, and beliefs. Sometimes manipulation is obvious, but often it hides behind flattery, guilt, or society's expectations. Being controlled, even without realizing it, takes away your freedom and independence. Stoicism teaches valuable lessons on how to free yourself from these hidden influences and live according to your principles instead of being pressured by external forces. Learning these lessons is key to regaining control over your life. The first lesson is understanding that manipulation often stems from your own weaknesses. People can manipulate you when they see areas where you are emotionally vulnerable, be it the need for recognition, the fear of being excluded, or the desire to belong. Recognizing your own weaknesses is the first step towards self-protection. The Stoics believed it's important to be aware of your mistakes. Understanding your weaknesses allows you to protect yourself from those who might exploit them. Instead of being driven by rash desires, you learn to act from strength and clarity. Another important lesson of the Stoics is the importance of emotional detachment. Manipulation often works because it plays on strong emotions like fear, guilt, or a sense of duty. These emotions can cloud your judgment and make it easier for others to control your actions. By practicing emotional detachment, you can step back and examine situations more clearly. You learn to separate your feelings from what others are doing, thus preventing them from using your emotions to control you. This doesn't mean you stop feeling, but you learn to control how those feelings influence your decisions. To avoid manipulation, it's important to understand why people act the way they do. Often, manipulation doesn't happen out of meanness, but because people are trying to get what they want, sometimes even if it hurts you. The Stoics taught that everyone acts according to their own nature and situation. Understanding this will allow you to look beyond the actions of others and understand their true intentions. This awareness will help you avoid falling into the traps of people who may not even be aware of their manipulation. One of the best ways to protect yourself from manipulation is to say no. This simple act, which can be difficult for many people, is a powerful way to demonstrate independence. Stoicism teaches that you are responsible for your own actions. Saying no when something doesn't align with your values is a way to take responsibility for yourself. People often try to manipulate by overstepping boundaries, making unreasonable demands, or asking for more than they should. Learning to say no without guilt frees you from the fear of disappointing others or being seen as difficult. Another Stoic idea is that true freedom comes from within. External influences, including the behavior of others, are beyond your control. What you can control is your reaction to them. When you understand this, you no longer give others the power to control your thoughts and feelings. Even if someone tries to manipulate you, they can only succeed if you allow it. By focusing on your inner strength and clarity, you'll be less influenced by the petty pressure others put on you. Manipulation works even when you don't have clear boundaries. If you don't set and defend your boundaries, others can exploit your time, energy, or resources. The Stoics believed it was important to know your boundaries and consistently maintain them. Setting boundaries doesn't mean excluding others. It's about protecting yourself and maintaining control over your life. When you know what's okay and what's not, others have less room to manipulate you. One of the most common manipulation methods is guilt tripping. They try to make you responsible for their feelings or situations and use guilt to control your actions. Stoicism teaches that everyone is responsible for their own decisions and feelings. By learning this lesson, you can recognize when someone is trying to make you aware of their burdens. You learn to reject feelings of guilt that aren't yours and free yourself from the emotional tricks of others. Another tool of manipulation is flattery. They may praise you too much or try to flatter your ego to get what they want. The Stoics warned against allowing praise to tempt you into changing your behavior. If you're too focused on recognition, you become vulnerable to manipulation. By remaining indifferent to praise and criticism, you protect yourself from the control of others' opinions. You don't do things to gain recognition, but because they align with your values and principles. A more hidden form of manipulation arises from societal expectations. Society often tries to force certain roles or behaviors on people and pressure them to conform. Stoicism encourages you to live according to your own values, not society's rules. When you stop trying to conform to everyone's expectations, you no longer feel the need to belong. This helps you stay true to yourself without being influenced by the thoughts or expectations of others. Another important lesson of Stoicism is to beware of those who use fear to control you. Fear is a powerful motivator, and many people manipulate others by making them afraid, fear of rejection, failure, or loss. Stoicism teaches that most fears stem from things you can't control and therefore shouldn't be determined by them. When you learn to courageously face your fears, you take away the power others try to exert over you through intimidation or threats. One way to avoid manipulation is to develop strong self-awareness. When you know your own values, needs, and desires, you're less likely to be influenced by the intentions of others. The Stoics believed that self-reflection was the key to personal development. By regularly reflecting on your thoughts and reasons for action, you can recognize when someone is trying to force you to do something that doesn't align with your beliefs. Another way they manipulate you is by portraying yourself as a victim and eliciting pity. While empathy is important, the Stoics taught not to let one's feelings deter one from making good decisions. There's a difference between helping someone because you care about them and taking responsibility for their problems. By practicing rational compassion, one can help others without getting caught up in manipulative situations or being confused by other people's tricks. A common manipulation tactic is to make you feel like you owe someone something. They might do something nice for you or offer help in the expectation that you'll give something back. This unspoken debt is used to control you. Stoicism teaches that true kindness is given without expecting anything in return. By recognizing when others are trying to make you feel like you owe something, you can free yourself from these manipulative games. Manipulation can also arise from the pressure of group dynamics. Others may try to get you to do the same as everyone else and make you feel excluded if you don't join in. The Stoics emphasize the importance of remaining independent, even when everyone else is trying to push you in a certain direction. Sticking to your beliefs even when the group disagrees is a way to maintain your independence and avoid being swayed by the group's influence. One of the most insidious forms of manipulation is gaslighting, which attempts to make you doubt your own understanding of reality. Stoicism teaches the importance of trusting your own thoughts and observations. When you build on what you know to be true, it's harder for others to alter your reality. You learn to trust your own judgment and remain strong, even when others try to doubt it. Manipulation often works when you're unaware of how power works in your relationships. Some people manipulate you by acting like experts or authority figures, making you feel like you need them to make decisions. Stoicism teaches that true wisdom comes from within. While it's important to learn from others, you must always decide for yourself what's best for you. If you notice someone using their position to control you, you can regain your independence. Another important teaching of Stoicism is the power of patience. Manipulators often try to pressure you into making quick decisions, hoping to rush you into action before you've had time to think. The Stoics believed you need to take time to think carefully before acting, especially when you feel rushed. By slowing down and not allowing others to rush you, you prevent them from taking advantage of you in moments when you can't think clearly. Stoicism also teaches the importance of maintaining control over your desires. Manipulators often exploit your desires or needs, offering to give them to you in exchange for something they want. When you learn to control your desires and be content with what you already have, you become less easily manipulated. You're no longer so easily swayed by promises or temptations because you find contentment within yourself. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for protecting yourself from manipulation. When you're fully aware of your surroundings and focused on them, it's much more difficult for others to manipulate you unnoticed. The Stoics emphasize the importance of living in the here and now, being aware of one's thoughts and mindful of one's actions. This mindfulness helps you recognize manipulative behavior as it occurs and gives you the strength to resist it. Another important Stoic lesson is understanding that your worth doesn't depend on the approval or recognition of others. Manipulators often use praise or criticism to control your actions, but when you stop caring what others think, you take back your power. Whether others approve of you or not, you remain true to your own values. This inner confidence helps you not be influenced by the opinions or expectations of others. One of the most important Stoic teachings for avoiding manipulation is building inner strength and resilience. Manipulators succeed when they recognize weakness or insecurity. By strengthening your inner resolve, you become immune to external attempts at control and influence. The Stoics taught that true power comes from within, from the ability to remain calm, think clearly, and control one's own actions. This inner strength allows you to move through life confidently, free from the manipulation of others. Once you've learned to defend yourself against manipulation, you'll realize that there's a key tool of personal power, the ability to detach. This decision requires neither arguments, persuasion, nor confrontation. It's the quiet power of knowing when to step back, when to distance yourself from people, situations, or places that no longer contribute to you or are consistent with your values. Walking away doesn't mean giving up or running away. In fact, it's often the most powerful decision you can make. It's a decision that demonstrates clarity, self-respect, and control over what you allow into your life. When you know when to leave, you reclaim your freedom. Sometimes walking away is seen as a sign of weakness, but in reality, it takes a lot of courage. Staying in a harmful situation may seem easier than leaving, especially if you're afraid of what will happen next. But walking away is a way to set boundaries. It shows that you value yourself and won't accept less than you deserve. This decision is powerful. The power to choose peace over conflict, clarity over confusion, and self-esteem over recognition. One of the most powerful aspects of saying goodbye is that it protects you from manipulation. When you realize you can leave, you are no longer controlled by the strategies of others. Manipulators often exploit your fear of leaving, but when you realize that staying is a choice and not something you have to do, the power is back in your hands. Leaving sends a clear message. You are not controlled by the plans of others. Separating yourself also protects your mental and emotional health. Too often, people stay in draining situations because they feel stuck or obligated. But leaving unhealthy environments allows you to focus on your well-being. It gives you the space to heal, recharge, and refocus on what matters most. Leaving doesn't mean running away from problems, but choosing peace of mind. When you leave, you also show others what you stand for. Whether it's a job, a relationship, or a social group, your willingness to leave shows that you love yourself enough not to stay in places that harm your integrity. Others begin to realize that you can't be taken advantage of. They understand that if they want to be part of your life, they have to treat you with the same level of respect and understanding that you give them. Breaking up also opens up new possibilities. Sometimes staying in the familiar keeps you from finding something better. By leaving behind situations that no longer serve you, you open the door to new experiences, relationships, and opportunities. It means trusting yourself and the future, knowing that by letting go of what's holding you back, you create space for growth and change. One of the reasons walking away is so powerful is that it refocuses your attention on your own choices. You're no longer waiting for others to change or for circumstances to magically improve. Instead, you're taking action. You're taking responsibility for your life, knowing that you have the power to decide what you accept and what you don't. The strength to walk away is also related to self-respect. When you leave a situation where you are being treated disrespectfully, you show yourself that you deserve better. You remind yourself that you won't settle for less. This act of self-respect builds your confidence and reinforces the idea of being in control of what you allow into your life. It's a decision based on dignity, not despair. Walking away also helps you maintain your integrity. Sometimes staying in a situation forces you to compromise your values. You might say or do things that don't align with your true self, but walking away maintains your self-esteem. You stay true to your principles and refuse to be part of anything that doesn't reflect your true self. The Stoics taught that true strength comes from within, and letting go of that is one of the clearest ways to demonstrate this. It's not about controlling others or forcing change. It's about recognizing that you are in control of your own actions. You don't have to win every argument or convince everyone to agree with you. Sometimes the most powerful thing to do is simply walk away and end the argument. In relationships, walking away can be especially transformative. Many people stay in unhealthy situations because they're afraid. Fear of being alone, of the unknown, or of hurting someone else. Breaking away from a toxic relationship is an act of self-love. It shows that you won't stay in a place where you aren't valued or treated with respect. While it may hurt at first, in the long run it leads to a life with people who truly value and support you. Another reason why breaking up is so important is that it gives you time to reflect. Leaving a situation behind gives you space and a clearer perspective. You can see things more clearly, without the emotional pressure that comes with being trapped in it. This time for reflection helps you understand what went wrong, what you need, and how to move forward with more wisdom. Stepping away also builds your self-confidence. It reminds you that you know what's best for you, even if others tell you otherwise. Trusting your feelings, especially during difficult times, builds your inner strength. It shows that you can make difficult decisions and stick to them, even if you don't know exactly what will happen. Another important aspect of leaving is that it teaches others how to treat you. When you leave situations where you are disrespected, you show people what standards you expect. They learn that you don't accept disrespect, manipulation, or lies. This protects you for the future and helps you build relationships based on respect and understanding. Leaving also prevents you from wasting time and energy on things that don't align with your goals. Staying in places that make you unhappy drains your energy and leaves little room for growth or progress. But when you leave, you reclaim your time and energy and can focus on what matters most. You stop trying to fix things that can't be fixed and instead focus on what can bring you happiness and fulfillment. It's important to realize that walking away isn't about avoiding problems or refusing to face challenges. In fact, it's often the bravest decision you can make. It forces you to face the reality of a situation and decide what's best for you. It's about having the strength to let go of things that don't help you, even if it's difficult or painful. Letting go of something can also be a powerful way to break free from habits that no longer serve you. Sometimes, staying stuck in a situation leads to old patterns and negative cycles continuing. By leaving, you open the door for change. You give yourself the chance to break away from the past and forge a new path that aligns with your growth and happiness. Leaving also helps you regain your emotional freedom. Staying in a bad situation can keep you trapped in a cycle of negative feelings like frustration, anger, and sadness. But leaving helps you heal and deal with these emotions in a healthy way. It gives you the space to let go of the pain and move on in peace. Another reason walking away is so powerful is that it helps you stay focused. When you're stuck in a stressful situation, it's easy to forget your goals and what's important. But by turning away from something, you clear away distractions and can focus on what's important. You stop wasting energy on things that don't help you and start working toward what brings you closer to your true dreams. Turning away also helps you become stronger. It shows you that you have the power to leave things behind that no longer serve you, even if it's difficult. This strength grows over time and gives you the confidence to face future challenges, knowing you can make the difficult decisions. The act of walking away also demonstrates your independence. It proves that you don't depend on others to feel good or be happy. You can leave situations that don't align with your values because you trust yourself to build a life that reflects you. This independence is powerful because it strengthens your ability to shape your own future. When you step back, you also leave others responsible for their actions. Sometimes staying in a situation causes others to continue behaving badly without facing the consequences. By leaving, you show them that their actions have consequences. You no longer enable their behavior and give them a chance to reflect on their actions and change. Walking away is a clear statement of your self-worth. It shows that you will not sacrifice your values or well-being to stay in a situation that doesn't suit you. It sends a powerful message that you deserve better and are willing to trade for it. Breaking up also gives you a chance to close this chapter. When you leave a situation behind, you give yourself the chance to move on instead of staying stuck in a place that no longer suits you. This closure is important for healing and making room for new opportunities and experiences in your life. If you find strength by moving on and reclaiming your power, the next step is to improve your life by getting rid of what no longer serves you. There are small, often unnoticed things in your daily life that drain your energy, limit your potential, and prevent you from living clearly. These things may not always be easy to recognize, but once you let them go, they create space for peace, growth, and focus. Letting go of these things doesn't have to be a big deal. It's about making choices that align with your values. By letting go of what weighs you down, you become lighter, freer, and more in tune with the life you desire. The first thing you should avoid is unnecessary drama. This kind of conflict drains your mental and emotional energy without giving anything valuable in return. It draws you into situations that are often unimportant or exaggerated, distracting you from what matters most. By staying away from drama, whether at home, at work, or with friends, you protect your peace. Drama needs attention to survive, By silently withdrawing your attention, you can focus on what's important. You leave behind the chaos that prevents you from growing. Toxic relationships are another factor that slowly undermines your well-being. These relationships can be manipulative, exhausting, or simply unbalanced. There may be relationships with friends, family, or colleagues that bring negativity into your life. Leaving these relationships doesn't mean you have to make a big scene or confront someone. Often, it's best to simply distance yourself. By gradually reducing contact, you can reclaim your energy without getting into arguments, creating space for more positive, supportive relationships. Another thing to consider is the clutter in your physical space. Whether it's old things you no longer use or things you've kept out of habit, clutter can weigh you down both emotionally and mentally. Getting rid of things you don't need creates a sense of freedom and clarity. It's not just about decluttering. It's about getting rid of the visual distractions that keep you from focusing on what matters most. Every item you get rid of is a step towards simplicity and focus, helping you feel more in control of your space. To live a fulfilling life, it is equally important to eliminate self-doubt. Self-doubt can creep into your mind, damaging your self-confidence and preventing you from pursuing your dreams. By recognizing and letting go of these doubts, you can move forward without doubt. This process doesn't happen immediately, but by regularly challenging negative thoughts about yourself, you'll slowly build a stronger sense of self-worth. Over time, you'll realize that self-doubt is just a limiting belief, and you have the power to change it. Unhealthy habits further limit your potential. Whether it's poor nutrition, lack of exercise, or procrastination, these habits slowly harm your body and mind. You create a pattern of quick gratification followed by longer periods of unhappiness. By gradually replacing bad habits with healthier ones, you regain control of your health. It's not about making big changes all at once, but about making small, consistent decisions that empower you and make you feel better. Spending too much time in front of screens is a modern problem that many people face. Social media, endless scrolling, and television can consume hours of your day, leaving you tired and distracted. While technology can be useful, it can also be distracting and cause you to neglect important things. By slowly reducing your screen time, you free up space for more meaningful activities. Whether it's reading, spending time with friends and family, or simply being present, this small change can have a big impact on your mental clarity and sense of purpose. You should also let go of the need for perfection. Perfectionism can hold you back from taking action or make you feel like you're not good enough. Trying to be perfect often leads to frustration and exhaustion because the desired ideal is unattainable. By accepting that you don't have to be perfect, you give yourself the freedom to make mistakes, learn from them, and grow. This change helps you approach life more calmly and creatively, focusing on progress rather than an unattainable goal. Limiting beliefs are another obstacle to a fulfilling life. These thoughts tell you what you can and can't do, often based on past experiences or what society tells you to do. They silently control your decisions and limit your view of what's possible. By recognizing and challenging these beliefs, you open up new possibilities. When you let go of limiting beliefs, you realize you're capable of more than you thought and can achieve goals that once seemed impossible. Many people are afraid of failure, often without realizing it. This fear can prevent you from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping out of your comfort zone. It silently holds you back, convincing you to play it safe instead of reaching your full potential. By recognizing this fear and choosing to act despite it, you take away its power. Every time you face and overcome the fear of failure, you become stronger and better able to take on greater challenges. The constant need for approval from others must also be released. Seeking approval can become a habit and erode your self-confidence. When your self-esteem depends on how others see you, you lose sight of your own values and your true desires. By letting go of the need for validation, you begin to trust yourself more. You listen more to your inner voice and worry less about what others think. This shift allows you to make decisions based on your true personality rather than seeking external approval. Fear of missing out, FOMO, is another silent influence that can cause you to make decisions that don't align with your values. FOMO often causes you to say yes to things you don't actually want to do because you're afraid of missing out on an opportunity or being left behind. By letting go of this fear, you gain the freedom to say no to things that don't serve you and to focus on what's essential. This quiet trust in your decisions helps you live more consciously, without the pressure to be everywhere and do everything. You should also leave gossip and negative conversations behind. Engaging in gossip or constantly focusing on other people's mistakes creates a negative attitude and can damage relationships. It slowly changes your thoughts, making you more critical and less understanding. By staying away from gossip and engaging in more positive conversations, you create a better environment for yourself and those around you. This change helps you focus on your own development instead of getting lost in the mistakes of others. Another thing to avoid is comparison. Constantly comparing yourself to others, whether in terms of success, appearance, or achievements, leads to feelings of inadequacy and unhappiness. Constantly comparing yourself to others distracts you from your own path and potential. When you stop comparing, you give yourself the chance to focus on your own path. You begin to appreciate how far you've come, no matter how different your progress is from others, and this leads to greater fulfillment and self-acceptance. Procrastination is a habit that slowly diminishes your productivity and peace of mind. It quietly increases stress and worry as tasks pile up and deadlines approach. By stopping procrastination and tackling things as they arise, you regain control and a sense of accomplishment. You free yourself from the guilt and pressure of procrastination and instead feel the satisfaction of getting things done on time. Holding grudges is also something you should let go of. Holding anger or resentment toward others doesn't hurt them, it only hinders you. Resentment keeps you trapped in the past, rekindles old hurts, and prevents you from moving forward. By letting go of resentment, you find peace and healing. Forgiveness doesn't mean declaring bad behavior okay, but simply freeing yourself from bitterness. Overwhelm can also insidiously take over your life. If you agree to too many things, you may feel overwhelmed and unable to perform at your best. By reducing unnecessary commitments and learning to say no more often, you create space for the things that truly matter. This allows you to focus on quality over quantity and give your full attention to what aligns with your priorities. Negative self-talk is a subtle but powerful force that shapes your view of yourself and the world. The way you speak to yourself matters, and if that inner voice is full of criticism and doubt, it can hold you back and weaken your confidence. By ending negative self-talk and replacing it with kinder, more supportive words, you'll build a healthier relationship with yourself. This small shift in your mindset can have a big impact on how you approach challenges and opportunities. You should also let go of the need to control everything. Trying to control every little thing in life can be exhausting and often pointless, as so much is beyond your control. When you stop trying to control everything, you create space to go with the flow and allow things to unfold naturally. You learn to trust the flow of things and understand that not everything needs to be controlled down to the smallest detail. This sense of letting go brings more peace and helps you focus on what you can actually control, your actions and your reactions. Getting rid of perfectionism is another important step toward freedom. Perfectionism creates a cycle in which you never feel good enough because the very high standards you set for yourself are impossible to meet. By letting go of the need for perfection, you allow yourself to take action, make mistakes, and grow. This shift leads to more creativity, productivity, and satisfaction because you're no longer waiting for everything to be perfect before you begin. Forget the fear of change. Change is inevitable, and resisting it only causes stress and keeps you stuck. By accepting change and seeing it as an opportunity for growth, you open yourself up to new experiences and possibilities. When you let go of the fear of change, you can move through life more flexibly and openly, knowing that every change holds the potential for something new and better. By quietly removing these things from your life, you make room for what's essential. You free yourself from the little things that hold you back and begin a life more in line with your values, your peace, and your true potential. This process of letting go isn't always easy, but it's one of the most powerful steps toward living consciously and clearly. As you separate yourself from unnecessary things, you'll clearly see what truly deserves your time, energy, and attention. This leads you to a deeper wisdom that Marcus Aurelius often mentioned, the power of silence. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is a well-considered decision, a sign of inner strength and wisdom. In many situations, silence can be more effective than saying nothing at all. Knowing when silence is appropriate not only preserves one's peace, but also helps maintain one's dignity and better understand the world around one. Chosen wisely, silence becomes a tool for controlling oneself and dealing with the chaos of the outside world. Silence is especially powerful when dealing with anger. When someone speaks out of anger, an angry reaction only makes the situation worse. However, silence can help calm the tension. It allows the other person to vent their anger without adding fuel to the fire. Silence, in this case, doesn't mean passivity. It's a conscious decision to maintain control over yourself. It helps prevent the situation from getting worse and gives you time to respond thoughtfully and calmly later, once things have calmed down. Silence in the face of anger shows that you aren't controlled by your emotions or the emotions of others. Another moment when silence is important is during a misunderstanding. When people feel misunderstood, they often want to explain, defend, or justify their actions. But sometimes trying to explain something can only complicate things. Marcus Aurelius believed that not every misunderstanding needs to be cleared up. There is strength in allowing others to have their own opinions without feeling the need to correct them. In such moments, silence demonstrates that you are confident in yourself and your actions. It shows others that you don't need their full understanding or approval to know what is true for you. Silence also has power when confronted with gossip or negative talk about others. Participating in such conversations only causes harm and can reflect poorly on your own character. By remaining silent, you rise above the pettiness of gossip and avoid amplifying the negativity. In this case, silence protects your integrity and helps you focus on higher values. It creates space for deeper, more meaningful conversations by avoiding hurtful ones. When you're unsure about something, silence can be a helpful friend. When you're unsure of what to do next, speaking too quickly can lead to regret or mistakes. Silence gives you time to reflect, collect your thoughts, and listen to your inner voice. It offers a moment of pause in which you can gain clarity. Instead of rushing into a decision or saying something you might regret, silence allows you to think things through thoroughly. This makes silence a path to clarity. If you're provoked, silence can act as a shield. Others might try to provoke an emotional response from you, hoping to stir up conflict. But by choosing silence, you demonstrate that you can remain calm and aren't easily thrown off balance. Silence in such moments is a sign of emotional maturity and wisdom. It shows that you are confident enough to ignore provocations without having to defend yourself. In situations where people speak out of ignorance, silence can be the most effective response. Sometimes trying to explain their ignorance to someone only makes them more defensive or angry. Silence allows you to end the conversation without further entrenching the other person's false beliefs. It also saves you energy for more important conversations where your words have more impact. By remaining silent, you avoid the frustration that comes with arguing with people who aren't willing to listen or learn. Silence is also important when truly listening. In conversations, especially those with strong emotions, silence allows the other person to feel truly heard and understood. When you're no longer thinking about what to say next, you can fully focus on what's being said. This kind of listening builds trust and strengthens the relationship. It shows that you respect the other person's point of view and deepens your connection. When praised, silence can be a way to remain humble. It's easy to get lost in compliments, but doing so can lead to a desire to seek the approval of others. By remaining silent when receiving praise, you show that you appreciate the compliment but aren't overly proud of it. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that praise from others is short-lived and shouldn't determine self-worth. Silence in such moments helps you stay grounded and focus on what matters. rather than relying on the opinions of others. In situations where you're unsure of others' intentions, silence can act as a shield. Not every person or situation deserves your trust or an immediate response. By remaining silent, you give yourself time to observe and understand what's really going on. Silence allows you to step back, gather more information, and decide how to respond. This silence protects you by preventing you from revealing too much too quickly, or making decisions before you fully understand the situation. When you're criticized, silence is often the best response. Criticism, especially when it's unfair or untrue, can make you want to defend yourself. A defensive reaction can make the criticism seem more important than it actually is. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to rise above the negativity. It shows that you aren't defined by other people's opinions and that you have enough self-confidence to avoid having to defend every aspect of your life. Remaining silent in the face of criticism is a sign of strength and demonstrates that you are confident enough to accept other people's opinions without bias. Silence also helps you maintain your personal strength. Talking too much, especially about your plans or feelings, can make you vulnerable to the opinions and influence of others. By keeping some things to yourself, you retain control over your life and your decisions. Silence here doesn't mean keeping secrets, but rather protecting what is important and meaningful to you. It allows you to move through life more consciously and with less outside interference. In times of strong emotions, silence gives you space to process them. Whether it's sadness, joy, anger, or confusion, sometimes words simply can't express everything you're feeling. Silence allows you to pause with your emotions and experience them fully, without feeling the need to talk about them immediately. This quiet time can help you better understand your feelings. Instead of quickly explaining what you're feeling, silence gives you the time you need to figure out how to respond more thoughtfully. Silence can also be a way to conserve your mental energy. Constant talking, especially about trivial or tiring things, can drain you. By choosing silence, you can conserve your energy for what matters most. This doesn't mean you should avoid the world, but rather that you should carefully choose where you devote your time and attention. Thus, silence becomes a form of self-care that helps you recharge and focus on what matters most. In competitive situations, silence can be a smart move. When everyone is trying to stand out or attract attention, your silence sets you apart from the competition. It allows you to better observe and understand the situation and act more effectively at the right moment. Silence in such situations demonstrates that you don't need to blend in with the noise to prove your worth. It gives you an advantage and allows you to act more clearly and purposefully. When others are rushing to make decisions, silence gives you time to reflect. In today's fast-paced world, the pressure to act quickly can often lead to poor decisions. But by staying calm and taking time to reflect, you can make better, more considered decisions. This kind of stillness isn't about not knowing what to do, it's about taking the time needed to think carefully and make decisions with a clear head. It helps you avoid rushing into action and make decisions that align with your larger life goals. In spiritual practice, silence is a way to connect with deeper truths. Whether you're meditating, reflecting, or simply sitting quietly, silence helps you access the wisdom within. Marcus Aurelius often spoke of the importance of turning away from distractions and looking within to find peace and guidance. Silence is the gateway to that inner world where you can connect with your true self and gain insights unavailable through words alone. In social situations where you're forced to follow the crowd, silence can be a silent act of defiance. When others speak in a way that doesn't align with your values, silence is a way of not engaging with what they're saying. It's a quiet way of demonstrating independence and not simply going along with everyone else. This silence isn't a sign of weakness. It's a choice to stand out and stay true to yourself. Silence also helps you maintain your dignity in difficult situations. If someone insults you, treats you unfairly, or disrespects you, you may feel like you should speak up, but often it only makes the situation worse. By remaining silent, you maintain your dignity and avoid lowering yourself to the level of those who want to bring you down. This kind of silence shows that you are above petty squabbles and that your self-respect doesn't depend on how others treat you. In moments when you need to think deeply or be creative, silence is crucial. It gives your mind the space it needs to develop ideas and think clearly without outside distractions. Many of the world's greatest thinkers and creators, such as Marcus Aurelius, saw silence as a powerful tool for deep thought. In these moments, silence is not empty. It is a space where your mind can freely explore and discover new ideas. Silence is also about self-awareness. It teaches you to listen, be it to others, the world around you, or your own thoughts. In silence, you can perceive the small signals and clues that are often overlooked when life is too loud. You begin to better understand your own needs, desires, and thoughts, and also become more aware of the feelings and intentions of those around you. In this way, silence helps you develop a deeper connection with yourself and the world. It allows you to move through life more consciously and presently, acting not out of habit or haste, but out of true understanding. When we explore the power of silence more closely, we realize something important. While self-control and restraint can be empowering, too much kindness without boundaries can have the opposite effect. In our attempts to be kind, we often forget to set boundaries, take care of ourselves, and maintain balance. When kindness goes too far, it leads to giving up too much of yourself. This leaves you feeling exhausted, lacking respect, and disconnected from your own needs. While the Stoics believed in kindness, they also warned that too much self-betrayal can be harmful. This reflection shows you how too much kindness, without wisdom or self-respect, can harm your life. Too much kindness can harm you if you allow others to take advantage of you. If you always put others first, people may think you're always there for them, no matter what. This behavior leads others to feel entitled to your time, energy, and resources. Instead of being grateful for your kindness, they constantly expect it. Over time, this creates an unbalanced relationship in which you give far more than you receive, leaving you feeling drained and taken advantage of. Another problem with excessive kindness is that it prevents you from setting your own boundaries. If you focus too much on being kind and pleasing others, you may find yourself unable to say no, even when necessary. This can lead to burnout because you're constantly taking on more than you can handle just to make others happy. Without setting boundaries, your kindness becomes a burden, not only for you, but also for those who depend on you, as they begin to expect more than is fair. This lack of balance can frustrate and anger you, even if your initial intentions were good. Too much kindness can also damage your self-esteem. If you put others' happiness above your own, you might start to think your worth depends on how much you do for others. This mindset is dangerous because it places your worth in the hands of others and makes you dependent on their approval and praise. Over time, you may forget what you truly want and need and lose sight of the fact that you too deserve care and respect. The Stoics taught that your worth comes from within. Making your self-worth dependent on how much you give to others can lead to a weak and fragile sense of self-worth. Excessive kindness can also damage relationships by creating an imbalance. If one person is always giving and the other is always taking, resentment can build. Even if you don't say anything, you may feel unappreciated or ignored. Relationships that aren't balanced can't last and will break down. The Stoic concept of fairness is important here. Relationships should be based on mutual respect and equal giving, not on one person always sacrificing themselves for the other. Too much kindness can also be harmful. It drains your energy. Constantly caring for others without taking care of yourself can exhaust you. This exhaustion not only affects you physically, but can also lead to emotional burnout, where you feel alienated from yourself and the people you want to help. When you give too much of yourself, it can be difficult to find time and space to rest and recover. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-care and knew that you can't help others if you are empty yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to help others for long. Excessive kindness can also make you an easy target for people who want to take advantage of you. Those who want to take advantage of others often seek out overly kind people because they know they can exploit their generosity. If you're too eager to help or please, you may not notice the signs of manipulation until it's too late. The Stoics taught that wisdom and discernment are essential in all relationships. Being kind doesn't mean being naive or allowing others to take advantage of you. It means showing compassion while being aware of your own needs and limitations. Too much kindness can also lead to neglecting your own needs. When you're constantly focused on helping others, it's easy to forget to take care of yourself. You might neglect your own health, feelings, or personal goals. Over time, this neglect can leave you feeling empty or dissatisfied. Stoicism teaches that balance in life is important, helping others while also taking care of yourself. When kindness comes at the expense of your own happiness or health, it's no longer a virtue. Excessive kindness can also cause others to become overly dependent on you. When people start relying on your kindness to solve their problems or meet their needs, they may lose control of themselves. This can hurt both you and the person you're trying to help. Stoicism teaches the importance of standing on your own 2 feet and being independent. If you're constantly helping, you may inadvertently be hindering others from managing their own lives. Sometimes true kindness means stepping back and letting others handle their challenges on their own. If you're too kind, you may find that others don't always appreciate it. They might even start to feel entitled to your help. If people constantly experience your generosity without doing anything in return, they may think it's something they deserve, not a gift. This can cause them to take your kindness for granted and no longer appreciate it. Stoicism teaches that we should give without expecting anything in return, but it also reminds us not to give in a way that makes others dependent or takes advantage of our generosity. Another problem with excessive kindness is that it can distract you from taking care of your own needs and desires. If you always put others first, you may forget about your own goals and personal development. This can lead to frustration, especially when you realize you've spent so much time helping others that you've neglected your own path. Stoicism encourages you to live purposefully, which means finding a balance between being kind to others and focusing on your own growth and happiness. Excessive kindness can also cause you to lose the respect of others and even yourself. If you always say yes and never stand up for yourself, people might start to see you as someone easy to take advantage of. This can lead others to disrespect you and view your kindness as a weakness. Over time, you may also lose respect for yourself because you allow others to push you around. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-respect and staying true to your values. Being kind doesn't mean letting yourself be pushed around. It means saying no and standing your ground when necessary. If you're too kind, your own needs and desires can get lost in the expectations of others. You can be so focused on being helpful that you forget what you yourself want or need. Over time, this can develop into resentment as you realize you've sacrificed your own happiness just to please others. Stoicism teaches us to live in accordance with our own values without allowing the expectations of others to dictate our actions. True kindness arises from a state of balance, where one can give to others without losing oneself. Excessive kindness can also create frustration. If one gives a lot and expects others to return the favor or appreciate one's efforts, one may be disappointed when they don't respond as one hoped. Over time, this frustration can develop into anger or resentment. Stoicism teaches that we should give without expecting anything in return, but it also emphasizes the need for balance in all areas of life. Kindness without regard for one's own well-being or without boundaries can lead to these negative feelings. Excessive kindness can also prevent you from being honest. If you focus too much on making others happy or avoiding conflict, you might be holding back your true feelings or opinions. This can make your relationships less authentic because you're choosing kindness over honesty. Stoicism teaches that truth and integrity are crucial in every interaction. Kindness is a good quality, but it should never replace honesty. Sometimes kindness means having difficult conversations and telling the truth, even when it's hard. Excessive kindness can also lead to weak boundaries. Those who constantly help others may find it difficult to say no and set boundaries for themselves. This can lead to exhaustion as they take on too much while trying to be kind. Stoicism teaches us the value of self-discipline and setting clear boundaries. Knowing when to limit their giving protects their well-being and ensures that their kindness doesn't lead to burnout or resentment. Sometimes excessive kindness can also lead to feelings of guilt when they can't help everyone who asks for help. This guilt can weigh on them as they feel responsible for solving everyone's problems. Stoicism teaches that we can't control everything, and it's not our job to fix everything. By knowing our limits, we free ourselves from unnecessary guilt and focus on what we can truly do without overextending ourselves. Too much kindness can lead to taking on too much. Constantly saying yes to others can quickly fill your schedule. This can cause stress and anxiety because you're trying to do everything for everyone and forget to take care of yourself. Stoicism teaches us to find balance and moderation in life. By learning to say no and set clear boundaries, we avoid being overwhelmed by the demands of others. If we are overly friendly, people may expect us to solve their problems for them instead of taking responsibility ourselves. This can lead others to rely on you too much. They may always expect you to take care of things for them. Stoicism promotes self-reliance and teaches people to take responsibility for their own actions and decisions. When you set boundaries and encourage others to solve their own problems, you help them become stronger and build resilience, rather than making them dependent on you. Too much kindness can also distract you from your own goals. If you're constantly helping others, your own dreams may take a back seat. Over time, this can lead to frustration and a feeling of unfulfillment because you realize you've put your life on hold for others. Stoicism reminds us to live purposefully and focus on what matters most. By prioritizing our own goals and limiting our devotion to others, we ensure that our kindness doesn't stand in the way of our growth and happiness. Kindness is important, but it should be practiced with wisdom and balance. When kindness is practiced without boundaries and self-respect, it can quickly lead to burnout, frustration, and a lack of personal fulfillment. Stoicism teaches us to help others while remaining true to ourselves, ensuring our well-being is not lost in the process. By learning to say no, set boundaries, and take care of yourself, you can be kind in a sustainable and fulfilling way, for yourself and for the people you want to help. Once you understand the risks of excessive kindness, you can focus on strengthening yourself emotionally and mentally. The Stoics believed that true power comes from the mind. They developed methods to build emotional strength and improve reasoning skills. For the Stoics, intelligence was more than just factual knowledge. It was about developing wisdom, clear thinking, and the ability to make good decisions even in difficult times. Improving your intelligence isn't just about learning new facts. It's about thinking better, reasoning, and seeing the world from a deeper perspective. Let's explore Stoic techniques that, when practiced regularly, can sharpen your mind and help you understand things more clearly. One of the most effective ways to improve your intelligence is through regular reflection. The Stoics believed in self-reflection and encouraged daily reflection on your thoughts, actions, and results. This habit of reflecting on what went well and what could have been better helps you think more clearly. It trains your mind to critically evaluate your decisions. This makes it easier for you to understand situations and make better decisions. Over time, this habit helps you reflect on your actions, grow intellectually, recognize patterns, and make wiser decisions. Another important technique is asking the right questions. Intelligence isn't just about finding answers. It's about asking deep, thoughtful questions that challenge your beliefs and expand your understanding. The Stoics constantly question things like the nature of reality, human behavior, and ethics. By remaining curious and questioning the world around you, you improve your understanding of complex topics. This approach also helps you remain humble, as it reminds you that there is always more to learn and keeps your mind open to new ideas and perspectives. Emotional detachment is another important Stoic practice that helps improve mental clarity. Uncontrolled emotions can impair your judgment and cloud your thinking. The Stoics taught that it's important to separate emotions from reason because it allows you to view situations more clearly. Emotional distance allows you to make decisions based on logic and facts, not on fleeting feelings. This ability to remain calm and think rationally, especially in difficult situations, improves your decision-making and strengthens your reasoning skills. Regularly engaging with different perspectives is another way to boost intelligence. The Stoics believed in learning from many different sources rather than limiting yourself to just one way of thinking. By reading different books, listening to others with an open mind and exploring different viewpoints, you gain a deeper understanding of the world. Openness to new ideas prevents the mind from getting stuck and helps you think more flexibly. This allows you to recognize patterns and connections that others might not see. Mindfulness exercises are another way to sharpen your mind. The Stoics emphasized being in the here and now and avoiding distractions that distract you from what's important. By focusing on your surroundings, your thoughts, and your actions, you improve your ability to concentrate and stay present. This mindfulness prevents your mind from wandering and strengthens your ability to think clearly about what you're doing. Over time, this deep concentration improves your mental abilities and helps you process information more effectively. Simplifying complex ideas is another Stoic method for increasing intelligence. The Stoics often spoke of breaking complicated thoughts into simple parts. This makes difficult concepts easier to understand and helps the mind focus on the essence of a situation. If you can transform complicated ideas into simple truths, you demonstrate a high level of understanding. This ability helps you tackle challenges more effectively and explain your thoughts more clearly to others. Another important habit is lifelong learning. The Stoics believed that learning never ends and constantly sought opportunities to expand their knowledge. With this attitude, you'll stay curious and avoid the mistake of believing you already know everything. Continuous learning, whether through reading, talking to others, or trying new things, keeps your mind sharp and open to change. It encourages you to push your boundaries and grow intellectually. Critical thinking is also a central component of Stoic philosophy. Instead of simply accepting information without question, the Stoics encourage people to look deeper and analyze everything. This kind of questioning isn't about being negative. It's about ensuring that their beliefs and actions are based on truth and reason. Developing critical thinking skills is like building a strong foundation for your mind. It allows you to see beyond superficial arguments and see the truth hidden beneath them. Critical thinkers identify flawed reasoning, called logical fallacies, and make decisions based on facts rather than emotions or assumptions. Over time, practicing critical thinking sharpens your mind and makes it more focused, allowing you to handle even the most complicated situations calmly and confidently. The Stoics, ancient philosophers renowned for their wisdom, taught that intellectual growth is not just about learning new facts, but also about being more resilient in the face of challenges. They believed that, just as muscles grow stronger with exercise, our minds become sharper when we face difficulties head-on. By practicing this approach, you not only improve your decision-making, but also develop the ability to confidently navigate life's complexity. Setbacks and challenges will always occur to us. That's a part of life. However, how we respond to them is crucial. The Stoics taught that we should never see obstacles as failures, but rather as opportunities to grow and learn. When you change your mindset and view difficulties as opportunities, you develop resilience, which helps you overcome difficult times. This resilience is like a tool that sharpens problem-solving skills and makes it easier to find creative and effective solutions to challenges. It also builds emotional resilience, helping you overcome setbacks without losing hope. The Stoic belief in resilience teaches us that every problem is an opportunity to grow, not only mentally, but also emotionally. Over time, this growth makes us more flexible in our thinking and enables us to adapt to all of life's new challenges. Another Stoic principle that contributes to intellectual growth is the practice of gratitude. Although gratitude seems like more of an emotional practice, it significantly shapes our mindset. Focusing on what you already have rather than what you don't have helps you develop a positive attitude. This mental shift reduces stress and anxiety and allows you to think more clearly and creatively. Gratitude helps you stay grounded in the here and now, which is especially important when faced with difficult situations. It reminds you of the learning opportunities inherent in every experience and encourages you to view challenges as stepping stones for growth. The more you practice gratitude, the more you realize how precious even the smallest moments are, which further improves your ability to think clearly and make better decisions. Participating in philosophical debates and discussions is another excellent way to sharpen your intellect. The Stoics love to have deep, thoughtful conversations with others, examining and refining their ideas. By opening yourself up to different perspectives, you learn to question your own beliefs and broaden your understanding. These discussions help you train your thinking skills and make your arguments stronger and more thoughtful. They also foster intellectual humility and teach you to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of your own ideas. By participating in debates, you not only improve your thinking, but also build self-awareness as you recognize your own biases and blind spots. This ability to learn from others and constantly question your beliefs is an important step for intellectual growth. Another important Stoic technique for promoting personal development is delaying gratification. In a world where everyone wants quick results and immediate rewards, the ability to wait for something is a crucial skill. The Stoics believed in the value of patience and that true growth and success take time. By learning to resist the urge for instant gratification, you train your mind to focus on long-term goals and the bigger picture. This practice teaches you to make decisions that may not pay off immediately, but will lead to more meaningful and sustainable results in the future. When you practice delaying gratification, you develop the mental discipline to stay focused on your goals, even when the path is difficult or the rewards seem far away. This discipline, in turn, helps you think more strategically and plan and execute with purpose and clarity. The ability to control one's reactions to external events is one of the most important skills of a Stoic and plays a crucial role in developing a sharp, focused mind. The Stoics believed that while you can't control what happens to you, be it a setback, a disagreement, or unexpected challenges, you always have the power to control your reactions. Imagine a stressful situation, such as facing criticism or confronting an unexpected problem. When you can control your emotional response and remain calm, you can think more clearly. This control helps you make better decisions and prevents you from reacting impulsively, which can often lead to regret. The more you practice mastering your reactions, the more emotionally and intellectually resilient you become. Over time, you develop the wisdom to navigate life's unpredictable twists and turns with a clear mind and a balanced temperament. Another way to increase your intelligence is to develop empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. The Stoics believed that understanding others' perspectives is essential for making wise decisions and building strong relationships. By putting yourself in someone else's shoes, you not only improve your emotional intelligence, but also gain deeper insights into the complexity of human behavior. This allows you to approach problems with a broader perspective and consider factors that you might have missed if you were too focused on your own perspective. Empathy opens your mind and helps you interact with others more meaningfully. This makes it easier to solve problems together and handle social situations with greater understanding. Journaling is another Stoic practice that can promote your intellectual growth. Great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius used it as a tool for self-reflection. Writing down your thoughts, reflections, and daily experiences allows you to process information more deeply and clarify your ideas. It helps you track your progress, recognize patterns in your behavior, and identify areas for improvement. This practice encourages self-reflection and gives you the opportunity to challenge your beliefs and thoughts and refine them over time. Journaling also promotes emotional balance, as it provides a safe space to express and process your feelings. By connecting with your inner self through writing, you gain greater self-awareness, and your thinking becomes more focused and purposeful. Another valuable Stoic method for increasing intelligence is the acceptance of uncertainty. The Stoics knew that life is unpredictable, and instead of fearing the unknown, they accepted it as a natural part of the human experience. When you learn to accept uncertainty, you open yourself up to new possibilities. You no longer allow yourself to be paralyzed by fear or indecision and begin to think more flexibly. This adaptability is a crucial component of intelligence, as it helps you navigate difficult situations without becoming stuck in the unknown. Accepting uncertainty allows you to remain open to new ideas, consider new approaches, and find creative solutions to problems, no matter how complex. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of focusing on the present moment. We often get caught up in worries about the past or fears of the future, which distract us from the here and now. The Stoics taught that the only time we truly have control over is the present. When you focus fully on the present moment, your mind is completely on what you are doing. This not only helps you make better decisions, but also allows you to absorb and process information more effectively. When you are fully focused on the task at hand, you make fewer mistakes and are more likely to learn from each moment. The clarity that comes with presence makes it easier to act decisively, solve problems efficiently, and achieve goals. Detaching from outcomes is another powerful Stoic practice. While striving for excellence is important, the Stoics believed we shouldn't tie our happiness to the results of our efforts. Focusing on the process rather than the outcome frees us from the fear of success or failure. This distance gives us the mental space to think clearly and make decisions without being paralyzed by fear of failure or the pressure to succeed. When we detach from outcomes, we learn to enjoy the process of learning and growing and are able to take more calculated risks. Over time, this helps us pursue challenging goals with a calm and focused mind, strengthening our intellectual abilities. Simplifying your life is another method that contributes to greater intelligence. The Stoics valued simplicity, not only in their thoughts, but also in their way of living. By eliminating distractions and unnecessary complexity from your life, you create more mental space for reflection and deep thought. A simpler life allows you to focus on what matters most without being bogged down by superficial concerns or excesses. When you focus on what matters most, you become more intentional about how you spend your time and energy. This mental clarity improves your ability to solve problems, make meaningful progress, and delve deeply into your intellectual goals. The simpler your life, the more space you have for your intellectual growth. Learning from adversity is a Stoic practice that builds both emotional and intellectual resilience. The Stoics believed that life's challenges are not obstacles to be avoided, but opportunities for growth. Every difficult experience is a lesson that can sharpen your problem-solving skills and deepen your understanding of the world. By approaching adversity with curiosity rather than fear, you can transform obstacles into stepping stones for personal development. Embracing difficulties as a teacher helps you build mental strength and resilience and prepares you to face future challenges with greater confidence and wisdom. Finally, gratitude for the difficulties one faces is another effective Stoic method for increasing intelligence. The Stoics believe that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Developing gratitude for these experiences allows one to shift one's mindset from resistance to acceptance. When one practices gratitude for one's difficulties, one becomes more open-minded and creative in finding solutions. This shift in mindset not only makes one more resilient in the face of adversity, but also increases one's ability to think critically and navigate complex situations with wisdom. Gratitude transforms challenges into lessons, helping one approach life with more meaning and clarity. Stoic techniques for increasing intelligence go beyond simply gathering facts and knowledge. They aim to develop wisdom, emotional resilience, and the ability to navigate life with clarity, purpose, and a calm mind. The Stoics understood that intellectual growth is not just about understanding the world, but also about understanding yourself and your place within it. Through practices such as reflection, emotional detachment, and continuous learning, you sharpen not only your mind but your entire being. This holistic approach leads to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. By applying these techniques, you enable greater intellectual and personal growth and empower you to live a life filled with meaning, insight, and wisdom. In this sense, Stoicism is not just a philosophy of thought, but a way of life that leads you to a more intentional and purposeful life. As we explore the intellectual strength of Stoicism, it's important to recognize that intelligence alone is not enough to navigate life's difficulties. One of the most challenging situations many of us face is dealing with disrespect. Disrespect, whether subtle or overt, can stir up strong emotions and make it difficult to remain calm and collected. However, Stoicism offers sound guidance on how to respond with dignity, calm, and wisdom. With the right attitude, rooted in Stoic philosophy, you can handle disrespect without it shaking your inner peace or undermining your self-esteem. The Stoics teach that your response to disrespect is what truly matters. By following these lessons, you will not only handle moments of disrespect with grace, but also maintain your peace and integrity, regardless of what others say or do. The first Stoic lesson in dealing with disrespect is understanding that the actions of others reflect their character, not your own. This is a fundamental tenet of Stoic philosophy. While you can't control the behavior of others, you can control your response to it. Disrespect often says more about your own inner struggles, frustrations, or personal issues than it does about your own worth as a person. By recognizing that others' actions are driven by their own experiences, you can prevent their disrespect from damaging your self-image. This distance makes it possible to separate the actions of others from your own self-worth, allowing you to remain true to your own values and not take others' behavior personally. Another effective Stoic strategy for dealing with disrespect is silence. Our natural instinct when faced with disrespect may be to defend ourselves or retaliate, but Stoicism teaches that silence can often be the most effective response. By remaining silent in the face of provocation, you demonstrate that words or actions have no power over you. Silence becomes a form of emotional strength, as it shows that you are in control of your reactions and do not wish to stoop to their level. It's a way to assert your dignity without engaging in unnecessary conflict. This restraint strengthens your inner peace and ensures that you remain unaffected by the negativity of others. Emotional distance is another important Stoic method for dealing with disrespect. When you detach yourself from the need for approval or recognition from others, their disrespect loses its power to hurt you. The Stoics believed that our self-worth shouldn't be tied to external opinions or the approval of others. When you stop seeking others' approval, you are less vulnerable to their attempts to upset you. This emotional distance helps you consider situations calmly instead of reacting impulsively. By focusing on what matters most, your own peace of mind and integrity, you can handle even the most difficult situations with clarity and composure. Stoicism also teaches the importance of choosing your battles wisely. Not every disrespect requires a response. Sometimes the most effective thing to do is simply walk away. By refusing to engage in petty conflicts, you save your emotional energy for the truly important situations. This selective engagement allows you to overcome negativity and focus on what matters most in life. It's an act of self-respect and demonstrates that you're not wasting your time on people who don't value you. Instead of getting caught up in unnecessary drama, you save your energy for things that align with your values and goals. Keeping perspective is another important Stoic tool for dealing with disrespect. When you feel disrespected, it's easy to become consumed by the insult and lose sight of the bigger picture. However, Stoicism encourages you to consider the situation in the context of your entire life. Will this moment really still matter in a week, in a month, in a year? Often, disrespect loses its impact when you take a step back and consider the situation in the larger context of your own life. This shift in perspective allows you to regain emotional balance and respond, if at all, with wisdom rather than reaction. Another important Stoic lesson for dealing with disrespect is not to let anger control you. Disrespect often triggers outbursts of anger, but Stoics warn against letting this emotion take control. Anger clouds judgment and can lead to actions you might later regret. Instead of reacting immediately, Stoicism teaches you to pause, take a deep breath, and think before responding. This moment of reflection gives you the space to choose a response that aligns with your values, rather than reacting out of a passing emotion. By managing your reactions in this way, you can remain true to your principles and maintain your composure and dignity even in the face of disrespect. Humility is another Stoic trait that helps when dealing with disrespect. Disrespect often arises from misunderstandings, communication problems, or a clash of perspectives. By approaching the situation with humility, you open the door to learning and growth instead of reacting defensively. You may realize that the person disrespecting you is struggling with their own issues, insecurities, fears, or frustrations. This understanding helps you respond with compassion instead of hostility and diffuse the situation with grace. Humility also helps you avoid exaggerating the situation or making it more important than it is. By keeping your emotions in check, you maintain balance and perspective. Forgiveness is another Stoic practice that can transform how you deal with disrespect. Disrespect often stems from ignorance or personal pain. While this doesn't excuse the behavior, it allows you to approach the situation with empathy. From a Stoic perspective, forgiveness isn't about excusing the wrong, but rather about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of resentment. When you forgive, you let go of anger and bitterness, which can linger long after the disrespectful moment. This letting go preserves your inner peace and prevents negativity from affecting your well-being. Forgiveness allows you to move forward unburdened by past hurts and continue on your path with clarity and strength. A final Stoic lesson in dealing with disrespect is to focus on your own actions and character, rather than the behavior of others. The Stoics believed that you can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you live your life. By focusing on being the best version of yourself, you rise above negativity. Your worth isn't determined by the actions of others, but by your own behavior, even in difficult situations. By focusing on your own character and integrity, you maintain a sense of self-respect that no amount of disrespect can take away. Remember that people often project their own problems onto others. If someone disrespects you, it may be due to their own internal conflicts rather than you. Understanding this can help you prevent their negativity from affecting your self-esteem. Instead of internalizing their actions, recognize that their disrespect is a reflection of their own problems and says nothing about your worth. This awareness will help you maintain emotional distance, protect your self-esteem, and prevent yourself from getting drawn into the conflict. Every instance of disrespect offers an opportunity for growth. Stoicism encourages you to view these moments as opportunities to build your emotional resilience. With each encounter, you learn more about yourself, your triggers, your patience, and your ability to remain calm. Instead of viewing disrespect as something purely negative, Stoicism teaches you to view it as a lesson, an opportunity to practice greater self-control and deepen your wisdom. Over time, you'll become less reactive and more firmly grounded in your own values, regardless of how others treat you. This consistent approach will allow you to stay true to your beliefs and maintain your peace, regardless of the circumstances. Stoicism teaches that dealing with disrespect requires a balance of firmness and compassion. It's important to maintain boundaries and stand firm when someone crosses them, but it's equally important to approach the situation with calm and compassion. This balance will allow you to remain true to yourself without losing your empathy for others. By responding with both strength and kindness, you demonstrate that it's possible to hold fast to your values while extending forbearance. In doing so, you not only maintain your self-respect, but also your ability to see the humanity in others, even when their behavior is less than respectful. Another Stoic principle is to focus on what you can learn from the situation. Disrespect, however hurtful, can contain valuable lessons. It can provide important insights into your own boundaries, emotional triggers, and relationship dynamics. Reflecting on these moments of conflict makes it possible to understand not only the other person's behavior, but also your own reactions to them. By looking at these experiences with an open mind, you can recognize patterns in your own response to challenges and learn how to better handle them in the future. Instead of viewing the situation as a purely negative experience, you can transform it into an opportunity for growth and self-knowledge. The more you practice this, the wiser you become, and the better equipped you are to face future instances of disrespect with composure and understanding. Disrespect also provides a good opportunity to practice patience, a central Stoic virtue. In a moment when pride or emotions are threatened, it's tempting to react impulsively. Yet the Stoics teach that patience is the key to a considered response. When someone disrespects you, you may quickly feel compelled to defend yourself or retaliate. but taking a step back and giving yourself time to process the situation can prevent you from making decisions you might later regret. This pause gives you the space to reflect and choose a response that aligns with your principles rather than reacting impulsively out of emotion. Over time, practicing patience strengthens your ability to remain calm under pressure and transforms moments of disrespect into opportunities for emotional growth. Maintaining one's integrity, even in the face of disrespect, is another important lesson of Stoicism. Disrespect can tempt one to lower one's standards, engage in unhealthy behavior, or become defensive that is inconsistent with one's values. The Stoics remind us that even in the most difficult moments, it is important to remain true to oneself. Integrity, the alignment of one's actions with one's principles, serves as an anchor, regardless of circumstances. By adhering to one's values, one demonstrates that one's actions are determined by one's own sense of right and wrong, not by the negative behavior of others. This commitment to integrity not only builds inner strength, but also a sense of peace that transcends external circumstances and allows one to handle even the most difficult situations with poise and confidence. Another Stoic lesson is the realization that disrespect doesn't define us. When someone treats us badly, it's easy to feel belittled or less worthy. However, Stoicism teaches that our worth isn't determined by the opinions or actions of others. We possess intrinsic value, regardless of how others treat us. This belief is powerful because it allows us to internalize our worth and maintain our self-esteem, even when others try to undermine it. By remembering that our worth is rooted in our own principles, we protect ourselves from the emotional damage that disrespect can cause. We remain grounded in our self-worth, unaffected by the fleeting judgments of others. Disrespect can also remind us of the transience of external opinions. The Stoics often emphasize the fleeting nature of praise and criticism, and this is true of disrespect as well. The opinions of others are often temporary, shaped by their own experiences and moods, and what seems so important in the moment can be forgotten over time. By recognizing that disrespect is temporary, you can avoid giving it more power than it deserves. Instead of allowing it to linger and cloud your judgment, you can let go of the pain and focus on what matters most: your self-worth and the values you live by. This perspective helps you maintain your emotional balance, even in the face of hurtful words or actions. The more you can detach yourself from the transience of disrespect, the less it will affect your overall sense of peace. A Stoic approach to dealing with disrespect also involves letting go of praise and criticism. The Stoics believe that both praise and criticism are external judgments that don't reflect one's true worth. If you become too attached to either, you give up your power to the opinions of others. By letting go of praise and criticism, you gain emotional stability and inner peace. If someone disrespects you, it's just their opinion and doesn't define who you are. This detachment allows you to remain centered, unaffected by the ups and downs of external validation. You remain true to yourself and your values, regardless of how others react to you. Stoicism also teaches the importance of focusing on inner peace rather than external circumstances. The more you prioritize your peace of mind, the less you will be disturbed by the actions or words of others. Disrespect loses its power when you realize that no one can disturb your peace unless you allow it. This inner peace doesn't happen by chance. It comes from self-discipline, emotional control, and a commitment to living in accordance with your values. By focusing on maintaining your own calm and balance, you will be less influenced by the chaos and negativity that others bring into your life. Stoicism provides a powerful framework for facing disrespect with wisdom, strength, and grace. By focusing on what you can control, your actions, your integrity, and your emotional reactions, you rise above the negativity others project onto you. These Stoic principles help you maintain your own worth and maintain your peace, no matter what others say or do. With each lesson, you strengthen your ability to handle even the most difficult situations with dignity, composure, and unshakable self-esteem. Now that we've explored the Stoic techniques for dealing with disrespect, we can delve deeper into one of life's most stressful and challenging realities: toxic people. These people have the power to wreak havoc, drain energy, and undermine peace of mind. But just as the Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, offered guidance on dealing with disrespect, they also provided important insights into how to protect yourself from toxic people without compromising your integrity. Dealing with toxic people doesn't require approaching them with hostility or frustration. Instead, Stoicism teaches you to approach these interactions with wisdom, self-control, and inner calm. This approach not only protects you from the damage toxic people can cause, but also helps you maintain your emotional and mental strength. You don't have to engage with their negativity. You can choose to remain centered and strong, no matter how they behave. The first key to dealing with toxic people is accepting that you can't change them. Marcus Aurelius often admonished himself to focus only on what he could control. Toxic people are often defined by their own unresolved issues, insecurities, and pain. No matter how much you want to help or heal them, their actions are beyond your control. By accepting this, you free yourself from frustration and can focus on managing your own reactions to their behavior. Another important technique is setting clear boundaries. Toxic people often push boundaries, testing how far they can go without consequences. By setting clear boundaries, you protect your mental and emotional well-being. Boundaries don't mean excluding others. They create a safe space where you can interact without being overwhelmed by negativity. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect and signals that you value your peace and won't allow others to threaten it. Limiting contact with toxic people is another important strategy. The Stoics believed that the people you surround yourself with have a significant influence on your thoughts and actions. When toxic people dominate your environment, their negativity can seep into your life and negatively impact your mental and emotional well-being. Whenever possible, spend time with people who uplift and support you. Distance, when used wisely, is a powerful tool for maintaining well-being. This doesn't mean abruptly cutting off contact with people, but it does mean being aware of how much energy you invest in relationships that depress you. The ability to say no firmly and calmly, without having to justify or explain yourself, is one of the most powerful ways to maintain your boundaries. It's about asserting your autonomy, owning your decisions, and respecting your own needs. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized that you should act according to your principles, stay true to your values, and not bend to the will of others. When you learn to say no without hesitation, you send a clear message to the world that your time, energy, and resources are valuable. It also protects you from being exploited by toxic individuals who might try to take advantage of your kindness or generosity. Saying no doesn't make you selfish or unkind. It's an act of self-respect and a necessary step toward living a life that prioritizes your well-being. Another strategy for protecting your mental and emotional peace is to minimize conflict with toxic people. Arguments or confrontations often lead nowhere, especially with those who love drama or refuse to accept reason. Toxic people often stir up conflict simply for their own amusement or to feed their insecurities, and no amount of explanation or rationalization can change that. Instead of getting caught up in these pointless fights, Marcus Aurelius advises staying calm and focusing your energy on more constructive and meaningful things. By choosing not to engage in unnecessary conflict, you conserve your emotional resources and focus on what matters most. This approach isn't just about avoiding negativity. It's about choosing peace and emotional control over the chaos that toxic people try to spread. Forgiveness is another powerful Stoic tool that can help you deal with toxic people. However, it's important to understand what forgiveness truly means in this context. Forgiveness isn't excusing bad behavior or allowing toxic people to continue mistreating you. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional burden that comes from holding on to anger or resentment. Marcus Aurelius believed that holding on to bitterness only hurts you, not the person you're angry with. By forgiving, you release the grip of negative emotions and regain your peace. It's a way to take control of your emotional state and not allow toxic people to dictate your feelings. Forgiveness, in this sense, is for your own benefit, not theirs. It's about cutting the emotional ties that bind you to their toxic behavior and choosing to move on unencumbered. One of the most effective ways to deal with toxic people is to stay true to your character. Marcus Aurelius frequently wrote about the importance of living in accordance with your values, regardless of others' behavior. Toxic people may try to draw you into their negativity or provoke reactions from you, but by staying true to your principles, you can rise above their influence. You don't have to meet disrespect with disrespect or respond to negativity with more negativity. Instead, you have the power to act with integrity, kindness, and strength, no matter how others treat you. Therein lies true power, not in reacting to others, but in choosing how you respond. By employing these Stoic strategies, you will protect yourself from the harmful effects of toxic people while maintaining your inner peace. You will gain the ability to navigate difficult relationships with wisdom and grace, ensuring that no one else has the power to disrupt your happiness or self-esteem. After gaining insights into dealing with toxic people with Stoic wisdom, the next challenge many of us face is internal, the habit of overthinking. Overthinking can be as disruptive as any external conflict, filling the mind with unnecessary stress, indecision, and self-doubt. The good news is that Stoicism offers powerful tools for breaking out of the vicious cycle of overthinking and developing a clear, calm, and focused mind. It's about learning to control your thoughts instead of letting them control you. When you learn to quiet your mind, you create space for better decisions and regain a sense of peace and confidence in your ability to navigate life without being overwhelmed by endless mind chatter. One of the most effective ways to stop overthinking is to focus entirely on the present moment. Overthinking often occurs when we're worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, neither of which we have control over. The Stoics believed that the present moment is the only time we truly have. By focusing on what's happening right now, you can calm your mind and bring yourself back down to earth. When you stop projecting your thoughts into the future or dwelling on the past, you regain control of your mental energy and reduce the anxiety that often accompanies overthinking. You learn to appreciate the power of the present moment and realize that it's the only moment we can truly influence. Another Stoic method for overcoming rumination is to remind yourself that most worries are exaggerated in your mind. The Stoics taught that many of our fears and anxieties are not based in reality, but are distortions created by our thoughts. Often, the things we worry about feel much worse in our minds than they actually are. By recognizing when your mind is exaggerating things, you can step back and gain a clearer perspective. Ask yourself, is this really as bad as I make it out to be? Often, simply challenging your exaggerated fears is enough to reduce the intensity of your ruminations and help you view the situation more objectively. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of focusing on what you can control. Overthinking often occurs when you try to solve problems or predict outcomes that are outside of your control. This creates frustration and stress because you are mentally grappling with things over which you have no power. Stoics encourage you to shift your focus to what you can actually control, your own actions, reactions, and decisions. By focusing your attention on these aspects, you break free from the endless loop of overthinking. This shift in focus not only calms the mind, but also empowers you to take meaningful action in the areas where you can make a difference. It helps you stop going around in circles and move on to real solutions. Another way to counteract rumination is letting go. The Stoics knew that life is full of uncertainties and uncontrollable events, and trying to force solutions or outcomes can lead to mental exhaustion. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. Rather, it means accepting that not everything is within your control. This acceptance brings peace because you stop resisting the natural flow of life. You allow things to unfold without obsessively trying to control every detail. By letting go of the need for perfection or security, you create mental space to focus on what matters most and avoid getting trapped in endless thought cycles. A central Stoic principle that helps prevent overthinking is simplicity of thought. Overthinking often occurs when we unnecessarily complicate situations with too many what-ifs or unnecessary details. The Stoics valued simplicity and clarity, both in their lives and in their thinking. By simplifying your thought process and focusing only on what matters, You reduce the mental clutter that encourages overthinking. This approach helps you eliminate distractions and make decisions more easily and confidently. When you focus on what matters, everything else falls into place. Another method to combat overthinking is regular self-reflection. The Stoics analyze their thoughts, actions, and decisions daily. This practice allows you to understand your overthinking patterns and identify the triggers. Self-reflection helps you observe your thoughts from a distance, making it easier to detach from them and view them objectively. This awareness allows you to catch yourself when you start to overthink and redirect your focus to more productive thinking. The Stoic approach to reducing rumination also involves developing gratitude. When you focus on what you're grateful for, your mind is distracted from unnecessary worries and anxieties. Gratitude reminds you of the good things in your life and helps you silence the mental noise about what's missing or what could go wrong. This shift in focus creates a sense of contentment and calm and makes it harder for rumination to take hold. By practicing gratitude regularly, you train your mind to focus on positive thoughts instead of getting lost in endless what-ifs and anxieties. Finally, Stoicism teaches the power of decisive action. Overthinking often results from indecision. With too many options or uncertainty, the mind can become paralyzed, running through different scenarios without making a decision. The Stoics believed that action, even if imperfect, is better than remaining stuck in indecision. By committing to a course of action, you break the cycle of overthinking and move forward. This decisive action creates momentum and reduces the anxiety that comes from overanalyzing all possible outcomes. By taking the first step, you transform uncertainty into opportunity and end overthinking in the first place. The Stoics were practical philosophers who focused on action rather than endless ruminating. Overthinking often leads us to believe that more thinking will produce the perfect solution, but in reality, the more we think, the more confused we become. We get stuck in an endless loop, trying to predict every possible outcome, which only complicates things. By remembering that overthinking rarely leads to clarity, we can consciously break this cycle and take action instead. When we realize that more thinking doesn't solve anything, we free ourselves from the pressure to find the perfect answer. We realize that action, even if it's imperfect, is often the best way to move forward. We stop overanalyzing every little detail and instead start doing what needs to be done. This realization frees you from the need to constantly reanalyze situations. Stoicism teaches that rumination is not only unnecessary, but also detrimental to peace of mind. The Stoics were masters at accepting life's uncertainty. Rumination often arises from a desire for certainty, a need to know exactly how things will turn out before making a decision. But life is unpredictable, and the Stoics knew it's pointless to predict every outcome. When you accept that you can't control everything, you free yourself from the burden of rumination. You learn to move forward confidently, even when the future remains uncertain. Instead of being paralyzed by doubt, you choose to act and trust that you can handle whatever comes your way. Another effective way to end rumination is to focus on solutions instead of problems. Rumination often occurs when we fixate on the problem and circle around it without making progress. Stoicism promotes practical wisdom, using your own knowledge to solve problems instead of endlessly thinking about them. By shifting your focus from the problem to what you can do about it, you stimulate your mind to think constructively. When you focus on solutions, you break the cycle of negativity and make real progress. It's a shift from passive rumination to active problem solving that empowers you to take meaningful steps toward resolving the issue. Recognizing the limits of one's knowledge is another Stoic principle that can help you avoid overthinking. The Stoics humbly acknowledged that they didn't have all the answers, and they handled this uncertainty perfectly well. Overthinking often stems from the belief that you need to know everything before making a decision. However, the Stoics taught that it's okay not to have all the information, and that waiting for the perfect answer sometimes means not making a decision at all. By accepting that uncertainty is a part of life, you free yourself from the pressure to overanalyze everything. You can make decisions based on the best available information without trying to predict every outcome or find every possible answer. Another Stoic technique is to focus on action rather than perfection. Ruminating often stems from the fear of making mistakes or not doing things perfectly. The Stoics taught that striving for perfection is an illusion. No one can get everything right all the time. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect decision, they emphasize the importance of taking meaningful action, even if it's imperfect. By focusing on action, you free yourself from the mental pressure that encourages rumination. This shift in mindset allows you to move forward confidently, without being paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong decisions. Stoicism also encourages you to accept outcomes. Overthinking is often associated with the desire to control everything and ensure everything goes exactly as planned. However, the Stoics knew that once you take action, the outcome is no longer within your control. By accepting the results of your actions, you free yourself from the need to think and worry about the future. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means you've done your part and now trust the process. This mindset brings peace, as you understand that you can only control your actions, not the results, and that's enough. A valuable Stoic lesson for overcoming rumination is the realization that thoughts are simply thoughts. They have no power unless you give them power. The Stoics believed in observing your thoughts without becoming attached to them. By learning to detach from your thoughts, you prevent them from dominating your mind. You can step back and simply observe them without being swept away by their emotional baggage. This practice of detachment allows you to shed mental baggage and focus on what matters most. When you learn to let go of unnecessary thoughts, you create space for calm and clarity. Another important technique is practicing gratitude for the present moment. Ruminating often pulls us out of the present and causes us to drift into hypothetical future scenarios. But by anchoring yourself in gratitude for what's happening right now, you bring your focus back to the present. This shift helps break the vicious cycle of ruminating and allows you to appreciate the here and now. Gratitude promotes contentment and shifts your mind from what could go wrong to what's already good in your life. By practicing gratitude regularly, you train your mind to focus on the positive, making it harder for rumination to take hold. Stoicism also teaches the power of simplifying life. Overthinking often arises when life feels chaotic and complicated. The more we add to our lives, extra responsibilities, unnecessary distractions, or complicated thoughts, the more cluttered our minds become. The Stoics believed in living simply, focusing on what's important, and removing the superfluous. By simplifying your environment, your responsibilities, and even your thought processes, you create space for mental clarity. Living simply allows you to focus on what's important and reduce the mental clutter that leads to overthinking. Another way to avoid rumination is the concept of flow. The Stoics believed in becoming completely absorbed in the current activity, be it work, a hobby, or conversation. Ruminating often occurs when our thoughts are scattered, jumping from one worry to the next. But when you're fully absorbed in what you're doing, your mind is too focused on the task at hand to overanalyze it. This flow state helps you enjoy life more and get things done without the burden of unnecessary mental chatter. In flow, time seems to disappear, and with it the urge to ruminate. Stoicism also teaches the importance of practicing self-compassion. Rumination often stems from self-criticism or fear of failure. We rehearse mistakes, beat ourselves up for not doing things perfectly, or fear not doing enough. Stoicism offers a gentle approach to life, the recognition that we are all human and imperfect. By practicing self-compassion, you remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes, that you don't have to have all the answers, and that you are good enough just as you are. This mindset reduces the pressure to ruminate and helps you move forward with more confidence and calm. When you treat yourself with kindness and understanding, you free your mind of the harsh judgments that fuel rumination. The Stoic techniques for ending rumination offer powerful tools for developing mental clarity, focus, and calm. By practicing mindfulness, accepting uncertainty, simplifying your thoughts, and focusing on action, you can break the cycle of rumination and live more confidently and calmly. These practices not only reduce mental clutter, but also empower you to make clear decisions and move forward in life without being weighed down by endless rumination. As we've seen on this journey, true freedom comes from within. When you stop living for others and start living for yourself, you unleash the power to align your life with your own values, not the expectations of the world around you. Every Stoic principle we've discussed, from letting go of the need to explain ourselves to being free from the fear of misunderstanding to being alone, reminds us that freedom begins with mastering our inner world. By rejecting societal pressures, focusing on what we can control, and living intentionally, we reclaim our peace, power, and autonomy. This path isn't about isolating ourselves, but about finding a deeper connection with ourselves, unburdened by the judgments of others. Stoicism empowers us to live authentically and embrace our true nature without seeking approval. It's time to stop seeking justice in an unjust world, to practice silent dissent when necessary, and to let go of the need for praise. Now it's your turn. What resonates with you most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your insights could inspire others on their path to true freedom. If you're ready for more Stoic wisdom and practical strategies for living a purposeful and clear life, subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. This is just the beginning of your journey to a freer, more authentic life. Let's continue to grow together.